Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's a Wnr553. It's AEW Revolution. I'm not alone. Of a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show. It's a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, happy Revolution Day. I'm excited to talk about this one. I think there's a lot to be said about recent events that have taken place in AEW. So happy to be back here again.
Yeah, and I'm happy to have you. And again, I'm not starting again, but you've had a successful start to. No. I'm praising you. You've had a successful start to 2025 with predictions, so you're in a good place at the moment compared to the complete fire that was last year.
Yes, we had a bit of a disastrous end towards 2024, but I did say I was going to come back fighting in 2025, and so far I've kept my word. So we'll have to see how I got on here.
Well, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod and prediction king from last year. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm excited to be here for another show, especially catch up on AEW. There's always so much going on, so it's always good to kind of get everyone's feelings about what we've been watching. And they usually give a great pay-per-view, so I'm definitely excited to talk about that. But also, I'm on season 4 of The Boys now, James. You are definitely Butcher in this group. You are definitely Butcher. And if you haven't watched The Boys, then but you'll get it if you watch it.
Do you know what? Again, can I do my impression? I haven't got many impressions. It's really going to be awful, but here's my Butcher impression. Oi, cunt.
That's all you need to do. There you go.
My favourite line.
Right, and I'm trying to be milk. Yeah, I'm trying to be MM in this group, but sometimes I'm Huey, so it depends on how I'm feeling. But you are definitely Butcher at all times. So.
Yeah. I like to think I'm, what's his name? The soldier. What's his name? Soldier Boy. Yeah. I would be Soldier Boy, I think. But again, I've not watched the latest season yet. Yeah. I will get there. Gotcha. But just saying, if James is Butch, then I'm definitely Soldier Boy.
You are Homelander.
No, I am not that bad. No, I am not. We are not going there.
Right. Anyway, we'll do the boys' discussion at some point. Monty and Jaxie are here. Last but by no means least. And I find life is a mystery. And everyone must stand alone. And I hear her call my name. And it feels like home. It's like a prayer. I'm down on my knees. I want to take you there. In the midnight hour, I can feel your power. Just like a prayer, I know I'll take you there. Don't worry, I'll start off bad, but I can save this. Just like a prayer, I'll take you there. It's like a dream to me. Just like a prayer, I'll take you there. Come on, everybody. Yeah, it's like a dream. I'll take me there. Just like a prayer. Just like a prayer, I'll take you there. I'll take you there. Just like a dream to me. I'll take a dream. The Madonna, the WNR's Madonna. It is Gina. Gina, I'm sorry, I couldn't save it. I apologise. I'll try better next time.
Sometimes you just need to know when to call it. I love it, James. Thank you very much.
I just completely forgot the tune as soon as I started singing. That was the issue. Apart from that, it was fine, but oh well.
I appreciate it.
Are you glad to be here?
I am very much glad to be here.
Good. Well, let me catch my breath
We're
back.
going to see how well I did with my AEW predictions and whether the G site has fully returned or not.
Well, I think that's the main question. I think that's what everybody has asked the past year or so now, is where the G site, and hopefully it does come back, And it's AEW, so we're on familiar ground. We've last left it just after Grand Slam, so we've only got a couple of Collisions and Dynamites. And on Collision, Ryan May attacked Toni Storm as soon as Collision came on the air. She dragged her out the stage and demanded a spotlight, and she told the unconscious Storm she was going to write the ending of Storm's story in her blood. And again, we've mentioned this before, and Jaxie, we're probably going to speak, obviously, a lot more about this. But again, the feud itself between Storm and May has been one of those things to actually watching AEW television for.
Yeah, I think that both women are doing extremely well, and I think we're seeing, what women really can do in terms of carrying a storyline across a lot of different branches. Everything with WWE, Bianca, Jade, Naomi, that storyline isn't capturing us, just like Tony and Mariah May are. The thing I would say is that like this whole section came across to me like Mariah May is so sulking about her loss that her bitterness is just making her continuously drive towards more hatred towards Tony Storm. I think it's the perfect type of storytelling where it's like, going from someone you admire and idolize to like pure hatred. It gives me very much the similar vibes of like the stalker vibes that Mickey James gave Trish. So we're kind of seeing that sort of replay out between sort of Tony and Mariah here. So of course we knew that there was going to be a third match. There had to have been. They do this with men's matches all the time when it's a title picture. So we had to have expected that we were going to get a third match out of this, Yeah,
but again, it's even the chemistry and the sit down with Renee that they had as well, where Renee wished him luck, and they're both like they are on the same page in a weird way, even though they are rivals, and that's just what the story's been told,
Exactly. It's like, who is the better wrestler here at this point? That's what everyone's wanting to know at this point.
Now, one thing I don't know if anybody wants is Hologram, but he's back, don't worry. And then Gabe Kidd wrestled. Not another one. I mean, Monty, do you know what's going on with Gabe? And we saw Clark Connors as well. It's not Tony doing what he did before, is it?
Yeah, it might be an attempt at it. I just think they still have a working relationship with New Japan. I mean, right, not too long after this, Gabe Kidd was doing a chant in New Japan, basically said Elf AEW, Elf WWE, Elf, basically everything but New Japan. So I don't know if Gabe Kidd is being swayed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan is definitely attempting to sway some of these guys over like you've done other New Japan guys. I mean, we talked about the life-changing money he's offered people and all that type of stuff, but I don't know if this is him doing that as much as I think it is just another, like one of those, well, let's just use the talent, let's use some of this talent, while they're off from New Japan. Let's see if they're down to work for AEW, every now and then. But again, it's tough. You never know, because that's exactly what happened with the Aussie Opens and all of that, They work a couple shows for New Japan, and the next thing you know, you see them signing a contract. But this probably is more of the ilk of like when Ishii comes over or something like that, especially for Gabe Kidd. He seems to be very loyal to what he's doing in New Japan. And honestly, if I was him at this stage, unless you're doing it for financial reasons, the smart thing, in my opinion, would be to stay in New Japan right now, because his stock is on the rise. And I feel like where he could be placed in New Japan, on top of that, he could be on top of that company a lot faster than I feel like he would be if he went to AEW, because of just how much talent AEW have. Now, what I will say is this too: some of that is also on New Japan, because, like I said, they didn't even offer Aussie Open guaranteed contracts. So some of this is gonna be on them, like how they negotiate. That could determine whether or not we see more guys ending up switching teams and going to AEW. So Tony could be doing the same thing, but right now I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, the Death Riders defeated Garcia, Magic, and Parker. Cope hit 2 concertos to Pac, and so he would take out all the Death Riders. Jericho beat Bandido as well. On Dynamite, MJF had his AEW tattoo removed. He also battered Christopher Daniels. I mean, Hangman wasn't happy. But Gina, did he actually take the tattoo off or not? I don't know. Again, I'm so kind of mixed up now. I don't know what is true and what is false.
I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't hear about this, so I haven't even been really looking to notice. So this is the first I've heard of it. But it could just be a cover-up as well. So people cover up.
I just don't know if you just do it for a storyline, unless he really regretted the AEW tattoo and was just like, look, I need an excuse.
Well, people cover tattoos all the time as well, so maybe he was like, "Let me just cover this up." But I don't
big
know.
Raw logo or something like
Taking it off. Yeah.
that. Anyway, we saw Ospreay beat Brian Keith. Outrunners beat the Murder Machine. Swerve and Ricochet agreed to a match. The Undisputed Kingdom defeated FTR and Garcia. Harley Cameron beat Diona. I should have stayed in Impact, but I hope the money is worth it, perhaps so. And in the main event, Takeshita defended against Orange Cassidy. Cope and Claudio brawled to the ring before Wheeler Yuta and Shafir arrived to help. Jay White arrived, followed by Willow Nightingale. While Moxley looked on, Cope and Willow delivered concertos to Claudio and Shafir. And Jaxie, this was the first time to me I thought the Death Riders angle's actually working because it's helping out the baby faces.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time for me, I was very much at a point where I was like, oh, well, finally, like I've been yelling for Willow to come and get this bitch for time, and it's taken us so long. Like, where have you been? Marina's been there getting in front of everyone's face. Do you know what I love the most? Jay White does not give a shit, male or female. You get in this space, he will deliver a switchblade to you. So I really respect him for that because he did not give a shit with Marina. But yeah, I think this was where things were starting to actually really work when it comes to the Death Rider storyline in terms of who they're involving in trying to stand up to this big bully team, So I was finally excited to see Willow get involved.
Right now, no, this was good stuff. On Collision, Roddy and O'Reilly beat FTR. Wheeler Yuta ran through Willie Mack. Swerve did the same to Connors. Adam Cole and Garcia ended with outside interference. Queen Animata surprised Julia Hart. Brody King came to check on Hart and was blindsided by Okada and his belt. And then on Dynamite, MJF wasn't happy. He tried to set Hangman on fire. I mean, nothing new from AEW, And obviously, does this sound familiar? Ospreay wins the match and the family beat him down after. But again, I mean, I might be negative. Monty, is there anything AEW could do that would surprise you, as in trying to murder another wrestler-wise?
No, I mean, honestly, like I said, at some point, they're gonna get kicked off the air because somebody's gonna have to pull out a loaded weapon or something, loaded gun or something, and just flat out go for the murder straight up. I don't at this point because, like you said, the spectrum is very hilarious. It's almost getting funny at this point. How much of the thing? Look, think about what you just said earlier, and what you're basically saying. Oh man, well we've seen that before. He said he's just gonna burn somebody. He's gonna set somebody on fire. So just like I'm just saying, like this is where we at right now. That's the spectrum. But that's what happens when you kind of cater to that style, or you want to, like you say, market it for the sickos, as the AEW fans on the internet say. So you're gonna have to either up that ante or not. And you know what? I think sometimes we realize AEW missed Darby at times like this because they obviously want to see one of their wrestlers in extreme pain. So they really miss Darby right now. I hope he's doing good on the mountain.
Right, we saw Cope taking out the last Death Rider with respect. You see, Yuta teaches us a lesson, boys and girls. And Storm and May had a final face-off. Main event was Ricochet and Okada beating King and Swerve. Collision was nothing. So, Gina, what do you think of the Dynamite main event beforehand? Ricochet and Okada getting the win. King can't even beat Okada in a tag match.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of liked this tag match. I think it just gave me tags that I didn't really think I'd get to see tagged together. So I think it was a nice fresh match just to see it happen. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
So there we go. We get to Revolution March 9th. We got 0 Hour, which again is 90 fucking minutes. Renee RJ with Double J and Paul someone who QT Marshall threw coffee at. I don't know. Harley Cameron joined the panel. That was the main thing for the first half hour. On to the action. Hologram and Commander versus Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. 450 splash from Hologram to Christian to win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? There was an awful botch on the apron as well. That's all
I cannot tell you. I did not watch 0 Hour. I'm not gonna.
Oh, boo.
I meant to. I meant to. It started it started really early, much earlier than I expected. So I think I only watched the final match of 0 Hour because when I turned it on, I was like, oh, it started earlier. So, and then I just never went back to rewatch the first 3 matches. So I'd really appreciate if you and Monty can let me know your thoughts.
Oh, so Gina didn't either. That's great. Monty, did you bother?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I caught it on YouTube. It's a bunch of flippy shit, you know. Good. I mean, decent stuff.
What was the botch? What was the botch?
Oh, it was like a
who was it?
reverse Hurricane Runner. It was just
It was
honestly,
sloppy.
it was
sloppy.
yeah.
Oh god.
It had a couple of sloppier moments. And Blake Christian did something that was cool, but then he also had his moments that it was kind of weird. So I don't know. It was cool to see. It's cool to see Shotty Lee. I haven't seen Shotty Lee. I don't see Lee Johnson consistently at all. So it was cool to see him.
Like, to be fair, when they announced him, I was like, oh, good, he's still part of AEW. I didn't know.
Right. You find out he still worked there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no.
Let me not watch it.
You know, with the fact of how many stars like AEW let go silently, I was pleasantly surprised to see that Lee was still around. You know,
I think he's been working ROH, so that's probably why nobody sees him. Nobody really watches.
We could just have a go at AEW now. The next 3 matches.
No, this was. I don't think it was bad flippy shit, but it was flippy shit. So you know, it woke people up, but. I'm not gonna act like I paid too close attention to it. It was hologram Commander 1 like I expected it to.
What would you give out of 5?
3.25, because it wasn't much story there, but I don't think you need it. So 3.25. It wasn't bad.
And I cannot. Yeah, I completely agree. 3.25.
Yeah,
I cannot believe
I'll give it a 3.
No. You don't get to score. You don't. This is not. You're meant to be AEW. You guys are watching the product.
I genuinely meant to catch up on it, and I completely forgot to catch up on 0 Hour.
And that says, I tell you what, that says more about AEW's product than anything else. Ooh,
well, there you go. Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
No. But blame her a little bit. Dubbing Up Prediction League 2025. After Chamber, the bonus league, James and Monty locked on 11, Jaxie behind on 10, Gina on 7. WWE, James and Gina on 1, Monty, Jaxie on 2. And this is the first AEW pay-per-view predictions. I don't know if I should count any of these, but we all went hologram through all on 1. Up next, Daniel Garcia and Undisputed Era versus Shane Taylor Promotions. The Hills controlled. But Cole received a hot tag to fire things up. Before he could use Panama Sunrise to put Moriarty away, Garcia tagged in and tapped out the Pure Champion to win. And then a tense stare down between Garcia and Adam Cole, likely opponents for the TNT title at some point. Monty, again, what were your thoughts?
The funny thing is, I think I put down that this was decent, but it's still sloppy. So I don't even remember the sloppy moment from this match, but obviously something was sloppy when I wrote it down. But it was okay. I mean, when you think of the people on here, I thought it was a waste of people like, of course, Adam Cole. And then I don't even know what the point of being the TNT champion is at this point with Daniel Garcia. Like, that belt has lost all the importance that it had. And I think that's probably my biggest frustration of even seeing this match on the card like this, because you got Kyle O'Reilly, you got Roger Strong.
And I said the same to Jax.
Right. Agreed. You got Adam Cole, you got Danny Garcia, you got all these people in a random 8-man match on the pre-show. It didn't feel important. It wasn't important. No offense to Shane Taylor, but we all knew one side of this team was kind of loaded versus a team that kind of has to prove themselves. So I don't know, man. It was good. It was okay. I'm not gonna say good. It was okay. But it was definitely frustrating because you see all of that talent, and it's just like, what are we doing? And then you got Daniel Garcia here, who could at least be. I would rather him have a title match. Throw a random title match on here instead of just throwing him in a random 8-man. But we always complain about the way these pre-show matches come together. So Tony continuing the tradition at this point. So I give it like 3.5. It was okay, but yeah, man, it's a shame when you think about all that talent.
Yeah, especially Adam Cole, kind of, where position he was in. Again, I'm not. Anyway, predictions. We all went to Kingdom.
when you go from him being like, going against MJF one day, and then all of a sudden, like, he's on a pre-show, it's just kind of like, how did you end up here? And then, like, not only that, but he's finally reunited with his original Undisputed Kingdom team, like, solidified. Roderick and Kyle are getting along with Adam again and stuff. They used to be such a formidable trio. We should start, in my opinion, be looking at them going in and challenging the Death Riders. I think that would be an excellent, like, sort of story for them to, like, reintroduce Adam Cole back into the wrestling business. Instead, they've got him kind of doing some shit with Daniel Garcia, and I don't know. This match really didn't equate to anything.
Well, predictions, we all went Kingdom, so all on 2. Up next, Chris Jericho was originally slated to defend the Ring of Honor World title against Gravity, but before the match could even begin, he attacked his opponent with a baseball bat. A 3-1 beatdown, also involving Big Bill and Brian Keith. Bandido tried to make the save for his brother, but the number game proved too much. And we should say as well that their mum was in the audience crying. I should really point out, but I didn't really care. And I'm glad we can kind of move on pretty quickly from this, because
I just saw a clip of her getting in the ring and she was like covering like her kid or something on Twitter. Like, she got in the ring.
Well, again, Monty, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, they really missed a treat not watching the 0 Hour.
The attitude, James.
This is not
seriously. You missed nothing. I was
about to say, this is not the segment to say.
Well, I'm just asking, why the fuck was this mum getting in the ring? Why does his mum get in the ring? She was literally about to get beat down.
That's my point.
All I saw was Chris Jericho contemplating, how much trouble will I get in for this?
It's funny that you said why, because that's what we all were saying as we watched it. We were just like, why are we doing any of this? Why do we got to watch any of this at all? I wasn't excited about the Jericho match in the first place. So the segment they did to replace it, the only positive I can say is that we didn't have to watch an actual Jericho match here. That's about it. Other than that,
just take the belt off him then. I'm just sick of seeing him with the belt on him.
I don't watch Ring of Honor. That's my.
Why can't we just
lose 900 viewers?
I would have been much happier if we got a women's Ring of Honor title match with Athena coming in and doing her thing. I would have.
Oh no, Athena cannot work AEW pay-per-views. That's illegal, obviously, or something. I don't know.
Clearly,
I don't know. They would never do that for some reason.
But why would they do that? Why would they put the Ring of Honor Women's Champion in a match on AEW?
Champion for 600 days and will never be seen on AEW.
Exactly. Like, oh no, don't, Monty, let's not go there. I'm gonna get really wound up and pissed off.
No, instead, we got a match of the year candidate up next on 0 Hour. It doesn't happen often. Orange Cassidy, Big Boom, AJ Mark Briscoe versus the M&M Collection and Johnny TV. I mean, this is everything we wanted. Dancing, check. Cookies, check. The Rizzler, you damn right. Taking centre stage, and the Hills finally halted the momentum of their opponents and took over control of the match. Mansoor powerbombed himself while Big Justice held onto his legs. But look, let's not worry about that. The Babyfaces scored the win off a triple powerbomb. And then these two guys came in, right, and delivered a double chokeslam to Mansoor to end this fantastic segment. I'm sure the guys were saying, and I'm sure what was going on mattered to someone. And the crowd reaction as well. Guys? Oh, my God. Well, the crowd reaction was unbelievable. I mean, I think it was two guys from, like, a TV show or something. Like it's like promoted on Netflix or not Netflix. What would it be? True TV or something like that, Monty. I mean, they were not wrestlers, were they?
No, they weren't wrestlers.
It's like another bunch of rappers.
I don't think they rap. You never know these days who raps. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. But yeah, no. James' summary is pretty much on point. I don't really have it. I don't really know what else to add there. I mean, it was just chaos, just some of them woo, and man.
Like, but wait, do you guys actually know who the two guys were that came in and just choked some man's up, or what? Or we don't know who they were?
I have no clue who the hell they were.
I stopped paying attention.
I don't know who it was.
So wait. You're telling me that like the TK decided to hire a bunch of nomads to come and just take them out, and like everyone.
No, they had something to promote. They had a show, or it was like Suits, but not as good. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
It was
limited
series or something like that.
Oh my god.
You wait until we get to the Queen of the Ring woman. That's brilliant.
I was gonna say let's
wait till we get there.
First of the night. So we'll get there soon.
Anyway, out of 5, Monty, what would you score this match?
I didn't even really want to score. I mean, 3.
Yeah.
I gave it like 3
You gave
stars.
it 3. I gave it 2. I thought it was being harsh.
You usually give bad matches 3, so I thought that's what we do. But okay, never mind. 2.5. I'll be a little nicer than you. I have no clue. It's called the Righteous Gemstones. I don't know what the hell that is. That's all
Righteous
I got
Gems. That's it. There you
That's
go.
all I got for you.
Yeah, from the Righteous Gemstones.
And it's on HBO Max or whatever. That's all I got for you. It's a show that's on Max.
So we can't even get it over here.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Righteous Gemstones. Look it up, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if it helped. The thing is about celebrities. You can say what you want about the Rizzler, say what you want about the other guy that I don't know any of these people to be real, but say what you want about doing it. But they got followers and all that. All I gotta say is if you're gonna include celebrity appearances, it would be nice if we know who they are. I didn't want to see Travis Scott. Travis Scott is way more famous than the Righteous Gemstone. So I'm just saying, I didn't want to see that. So if you're gonna do it, at least
put them on the poster. Put them
on
the poster.
Promote it beforehand. So we'll know who the hell they are exactly.
It kind of needs to be like worldwide famous as well, because if otherwise you're not reaching out to much of an audience. If you're international fans watching from home and their TVs don't know who it is.
Who the hell
this
is
how I feel. This is how I feel about Big Patty guy, Big Patty, with the little kid. Is that his name? The one who always just has some random matches just for no reason. He's got the little kid with him, like the big guy with the big little kid.
But this one we're talking about.
Oh, the current guy. Who else got
Just help me out. Yeah, they do the boom thing.
Yeah,
he was in this crap too.
Wait, he was in
too, by the way.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Where was the kid?
We should just do this as a show. Just
him and
us watch it and have to explain to each other.
Right.
Where was the kid?
They were there. I think even the fat kid that people like was there too.
Rizzler. I know
Rizzler, yeah.
Same as Rizzler?
Yeah. He was there.
Okay. Well, the Big Patty guy, I don't even remember seeing him.
Well, anyway, that was fantastic.
I think that's a good cap on that segment.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good recap right there.
We got the main
I'm
show.
sorry.
After that, predictions, we're all on 3. On to the main show. Oh, fuck, we got to get serious now. It's Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. MJF came out to Page's entrance, but Hangman survived a tombstone pole driver onto a steel chair at ringside to deliver the dead eye, added an angel's wing in honor of the same Christopher Daniels, and finished him off with a buckshot lariat for the win. Gina starts off here. This was a great opener to start the show.
Yeah, 100%. This opener was it set the tone for what to expect for the rest of the main show for sure. honestly, I was shocked that this was first. I was expecting a different match first, but I was really pleased with it. It went hard. And again, it's just like it's crazy because I don't think we've seen this matchup between these two before, like as often, just on house shows and things like that. So getting this match, seeing how hard they both went, it was so good, and I think it definitely woke the crowd up. If they fell asleep during those first four shitty matches, that meant nothing, So I definitely was into this match. I honestly was really confused with who to go with the win for this one. This was one of the hardest ones, I think, to call. I think like even Jack struggled trying to call this one. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it though.
Yeah, without that. And like I said, it felt fresh, and this is what makes AEW different and an actual alternative. And again, it's two guys in their prime, and Jack, it makes all the difference because these two guys want to be there, and it shows how much AEW means to them.
Exactly. You saw the passion from both of them, and like the one thing that you have to like say in this match is that like this match was built around stubbornness. There was not one moment where neither of either man wanted to take that pin. You could feel it. Like there was so many attempts at pinning from either side. There was so many attempts at either of them, like getting their finisher moving, and the stubbornness on each of them, was just not allowing for that to like happen. So you really were going through this whole match going, who's gonna win? Who is coming out the winner? It was an excellent match. I very much liked seeing the chemistry they had in the ring together, and I really hope that we get like a round two between them at some point.
Yeah, and then again, Monty, the thing I liked about this, with the kind of the heel and face dynamic, both men kind of struggling with that and wanting the crowd to kind of accept them, and MJF in this matchup kind of saying, why you, not me, and they're actually telling a story, and it's actually working again because, like I said, the crowd is investing in both men.
Yeah, and it makes sense because you can make the case with Hangman's track record as of late. I mean, he did burn someone's house down, and we all know, how he was a rampaging maniac for a while there, and he's still kind of like that, but he's definitely coming around to be that hero that I think everybody wants him to be again. And I think that's the beauty of the story that they're telling. Is like Max actually has a good point. It's like why do they gravitate to you, or why are they supporting you despite everything you've done, outside of me? Because even though Max talks a big game, we all know he like a lot of guys who act like that, or a lot of assholes tend to really just want people's approval a lot of the time. So it's very, very intriguing story. Like you mentioned, it's fresh, and then they did a lot of stuff in this match that, just like you said, really shows why people not only gravitate to AEW, but why these two are towards the top of the list when it comes to not only reasons to watch AEW, but just really, if you look at their whole career arcs in the company, they've been two of the most interesting characters by far. So it's cool that they're working together here, and it was nice to get these two together. And I think at this point, Max has a formula. I don't know. It sounds like a diss, but he really does shine at the beginning of a show. I don't know if it's just because of his antics or if it's not only his style, but he does a really good job. You just look at the history of the big shows that he's kind of led off. He's always, gave people a hell of a match to follow. And, some people look at that as a diss. I'm not saying he's not a main event talent, but I'm just saying he specializes, it seems, in really kicking off these shows in a great way. So him and Heyman has had really good chemistry. I know they're probably going to do this again, but we'll see what's the next story beat they decide to take. This is, like you said, as good as it gets, man. Really great way to start the show off.
Yeah, right down. And again, even digging a little bit deeper, I made fun of MJF setting Hangman, or trying to set Page on fire. And again, it may be in MJF's mind, he sees what Hangman Page did to Swerve and think, well, the crowd still loves you because of it. Maybe that will help. Again, who knows? But Gina, start us off out of 5. Then what would you give it?
I'll get. Oh God, I don't know. I'll give this a 4 3/4.
Yeah, it got tougher as the night went on to score it, didn't it? I maybe I even had to go back to this match and go, or maybe it was, mark it down a little bit, maybe not. Jaxie?
Yeah, it's really hard. I'm going to stick with my original choice of when I first saw it, and I just thought it was such a great match between the two, and I too went 4 3/4, so I'll give that to that.
Monty?
I gave it 4.5. I thought it was a really good opener, and again, it set a crazy tone and a good pace for the rest of the show. And I think 4.5 was fair.
I'm going to give it 4 3/4. Fantastic stuff. Predictions. Jaxie and I went MJF. Monty, Gina went Hangman. So after that, it means Monty, Gina on 4, James and Jaxie on 3. I'm disappointed by my pick, but we've got to move on. Plenty to talk about.
Same here.
Yeah, I know. It's just... Anyway, we'll move on. TBS Championship, Momo Watanabe versus Mercedes Moné. And late in the grueling back and forth contest, Watanabe uncaught a kick that caught Moné in the chin, interfering to stun her momentarily. Lucio proved the toughness though and fought her way back, capitalizing on momentary hip cut by Watanabe and delivering the Moné makeup before tapping her out to the bank statement for the win. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this? Both did not hold back in this match.
Yeah, this was again a great match for Mercedes. This was a match that really pushed her to her limit to actually not just talk so big, not be so arrogant, but actually put the work in to actually get the win. Momo really challenged her, and I really enjoyed their chemistry yet again in the ring. I thought there were some great moments, and Momo made me a hell of a lot more interested in her after this type of match. I thought both women looked great, and it was overall, it was just a great match between both women. Like, the crowd actually stayed really hyped throughout the whole of it. I don't feel like there was a dip in that match from the crowd.
I don't think you could either. Like I said, the kicks were next level, and like I said, the crowd knew kind of what they were watching. And it's interesting because we talked about Mercedes Moné and Monty. It seems that Moné has found her groove now, but then the issue is anybody good enough to kind of challenge her,
Yeah, I think in the ring by far is there. I think I don't want to kind of spoil what I'm gonna say later, but like I mentioned, I think my only issue that has pretty much nothing to do with Mercedes, it got more so to do with the storylines elements of it. Because to me, I know there's a lot of discourse on the internet, but like Mercedes, to me, she always brings it in the ring for the most part. Like you said, a lot of times it's about her opponent. It's about the booking of the match, And I think they find, like you said, they really hit their groove with the amount of time they're gonna give her, the type of opponents, because she always worked well with Joshi, and Momo is one of the best in the world. And this is very physical. I love that. Like, again, I think what Mercedes does so well is that she's able to kind of meld her style into many different types of styles. So I'm really looking forward to what they try to do with her going forward, because as interesting as all these matches are, I do think so far her run for a while now has been matches. If you really think about it, of the last time they really put like angle time really into, or like storyline, serious storyline time into it, it was the Britt Baker stuff. They've realized that, we don't need to waste our time trying to do all of these. They're kind of building something with Billy and possibly Athena going forward. You can kind of see that coming. But for the most part, they're keeping it in the ring. And that's good. I think, like you see, Mercedes excels with just giving her good, competent opponents and allowing her to do what they have to do in the ring. And I think that's why this match kind of shined. It was very physical. They did a really good job of kind of blending in the elements that really make Joshi wrestling so cool, because that's really what Joshi wrestling is all about. I know a lot of people don't get a chance to watch a lot of straight up Stardom or TJPW and all that type of stuff, but that's what they do, man. They're very physical. They bring it. And to kind of see Mercedes dip into that style, but then also be Mercedes, she's just good. She's one of the best ever at it, and this is why. And I think that's kind of what you're kind of seeing. You kind of see them lean into her strong suits and allowing her to do what she does best. But I really can't wait until they decide to do this, until they decide to spread the wealth a little bit with the type of storytelling they gave other women in the division. It'd be nice to see if Mercedes, maybe they'll do that going forward, gets an angle along with the style of wrestling that we know and love. And then that'll be perfection in my opinion. But other than that, Mercedes is great. Momo was great here, and I hope this opened people's eyes to like check out more Stardom, because I think at the end of the day, that's what this does. That's what Mercedes is all about now. She said it when she came to AEW. It's about spreading her style to the world and bringing more of an international outlook. And she's a belt collector of her own right now. So, yeah, man, Mercedes has been killing it, and I can't wait to see what they decide to do as this continues on. But you can't really ask for much more of a match from these two.
No, without a doubt. And I think that's the thing, isn't it, Gina? When we talk about, we know how good Monet is, but Momo made the most of her minutes in this matchup. But like we said, hopefully the end game is Athena all in. That's got to be the match we're looking at.
Yeah, I would so be happy with that match. Don't get me wrong, I was super happy. I really like Momo Watanabe. I've seen her a few times, and I really like her. And one thing I'm still shocked by is that she's 24 years old. Like, she's only 24. Wow. I'm really shocked by how young she is. But I would love to see Athena and Mercedes. That's got to be the match that they build up to next. But again, this match for me was good. I was interested in it, but did I believe that Momo was going to win it from Mercedes? No, not really. But that kick to the jaw, it looked like it rocked her for 6. It really did. So I give it a 4 though for this match.
Give it a 4. Jackson, what would you score it?
I'm giving this a 4 1/4.
A quarter. Monty?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.
I'm going to give it a 4 1/4. So we all went for Monet. So it means Monty, Gina on 5, James, Jackson on 4. As we get Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet. I'm glad the drummer had a good time for Swerve's entrance. That's all that matters, really. The mid-match drama of Strickland.
That was awful. He was never once in time. He ruined Swerve's song. It was awful. I couldn't even enjoy it. I was just like, can you hurry up and just turn his music off? Because it was the worst rendition of it, in my opinion.
Well, I thought it was the best. And again, I just wish that drummer was there to do more entrances out of tune. It was brilliant. Anyway, as for Swerve for Ricochet match, the mid-match drama of Strickland pushing Prince Nana and infuriate his manager enough to leave him behind, only for long-term hype man to return and attempt to steal back Jimmy Ray's road for ringside, was a nice touch to set up the finisher. People might say Ricochet McIntyred himself, but that's bollocks. He got a house call and a Swerve Tom, and Strickland was the number 1 contender. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
This was good, man. I think really it's one of those situations where you have the level of talent in this type of match, especially a guy who can do what Ricochet can do, and we know what Swerve has proved. You come into it and then you just be like, I'm expecting a certain level of wrestling. And then, but honestly, they came out there and they actually did somehow kind of go above those expectations. I think everybody who knows these two would expect a really good match. But you know what I mean. For them to come out there and actually do like the vertebreaker on the announce table and just do some of the stuff. With Ricochet, I mean, at this point, the 6:30, I shouldn't be saying that a 6:30 is regular business, but that's what Ricochet does. But, man, it was really cool, man, to kind of see them go out there and just throw it out there, balls to the wall and just do their thing. And honestly, when you got talent like that, you can't really ask for much more. This was definitely a one-up from, like, their last encounter. And I think it kind of played out. I could do without the Prince Nana shenanigans unless you're gonna actually pull the trigger. I don't really like the teasing of it with someone like Prince Nana, because when you think about Prince Nana, you think about Swerve, their relationship. Maybe they're trying something out. Maybe they're testing for the future to see Swerve without a Prince Nana, and I don't know how that looks, but maybe that's what they're trying to do here. But like I said, I could have did without that because I just thought that the action itself between these two was good enough to where that could have been the focus. Didn't really need the shenanigans. I would complain about too many close calls, but this is AEW I'm talking about, so like this is what they kind of do. They kind of kick out. They kick out at 2.9. James, this is what they kind of do at AEW. So. But this was good, man. I like I said, I feel like anything I say is too negative is almost nitpicking because I felt like they went out there and gave you, if not what you were expecting, to me they gave me at least better than I was expecting. I can't ask much more than that. It felt the stakes were high, and I did, even though I came into this assuming Swerve would win because he felt like more of the world championship type quality guy at the moment. Even though Ricochet has been doing great, I still don't necessarily see him there at the moment. I think Swerve winning this and then Ricochet still making you feel like he had a chance is what more can you ask for in this scenario? But other than like the Prince Nana tease and all of that, I thought this was excellent. So I gave it like 4 and 3/4.
4 3/4. Right, there's a lot to unpick there. You took most of my notes, but I'm still going to go back.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's cool. Gina, first off, will Prince Nana turn on Swerve? That was the one thing. I mean, I know you and Jackson got personal experience with Prince Nana. Did he say he's getting sick of Swerve or will turn him at some point? Do you see it happening?
No, I personally don't. You could take my answer as being biased, but they've kind of teased will they break up, won't they break up with the ending of Swerve's last sort of feud with Hangman, and and then he proved that he's not going against Nana. So I don't like a lot of back and forth. They've kind of already teased it, so the way I took it is that like Nana was just getting frustrated with Swerve more trying to seek out revenge in this match rather than getting the win. And that's how I saw the frustrations play out here, like a frustrated father seeing his son not listen to him sort of thing, I don't want to think about Nana leaving Swerve because, to be honest, I don't know where Nana would go. And in a way, not to be horrible to any other wrestler on the AEW roster, but no matter who Nana leaves Swerve for, I feel like he would downgrade regardless, and especially because he's not going to go to someone like Bobby Lashley either because they got MVP. And yeah, unless he's going to go to some big name like, I don't know, MJF or a Hangman, like I don't see that happening for Nana, so I wouldn't see the point in splitting them up, really. That's my personal opinion. But yeah.
As for the matchup, I mean, I was thinking at the time, this being AEW, shouldn't this have been like scissors on a pole or something more hardcore? But again, what we got later would explain maybe why this wasn't. But the vertebraker was extreme, and Monty, no one should kick out the 630. I don't care what anybody says. The 630 should be left well alone. Right. And I'm going to say this, and I might be controversial here, Jaxie, but I don't care for the rope. All right. But the one good thing is Ricochet did come out better after this feud, even though he did lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you could say that Ricochet came out of this looking bad because he pushed Swerve to his limit throughout the whole match. As Monty said, like they were kicking out of like 2.99999. There were a lot of hype moments between both men across like, certain moments. There was just overall, this is a good match. I can understand a lot of what Monty's point was. I think I could have done without the Prince Nana stuff, mainly because I just don't want to think or tease that Nana and Swerve are like ending things. Like, I just don't think it's necessary. I think they are a perfect duo. They're a perfect team. And I don't see that there being any point or any reason to actually split them up. So, yeah, I mean, I'm personally glad that, that fizzled out real quick and wasn't going to be like a storyline that was going to be kept going on into the year after, the week after and stuff like that, like they just really nipped it in the bud. But overall, this match was really great and it really showed what like Ricochet could do. I feel like he's branching out a lot more in, like, you know, the pacing of his matches compared to that what he got given within WWE. I think that he's just making the most completely out of what he's got within AEW, and I think it's actually, you know, doing him well. I can see him going far and having great feuds with other wrestlers within AEW. So I don't think this made him look bad at all. But I think the better man won, like, in this situation.
Yeah, without doubt. Swerve is different level, and it's interesting we talk about Prince Nana. I mean, the Death Riders haven't got a manager, have they? Probably not, though. Gina.
Yeah, but Nana's too nice. Nana's too sweet.
Yeah, we see.
He's not sick and twisted. No, I mean, he's not like properly twisted in the head like Mox. So I don't know. I don't know if he'd be the right manager for them.
Gina, what would you score this match out of 5?
I still thought it was a great match, and I still appreciated all the high flying flips and the daring matches moves that they pulled in the match. It was a bummer that the table didn't break when they went onto it, because it looks more painful when the table doesn't break. But I was still very entertained by this match. So I'm gonna give it a 4 1/4.
Jaxie?
I'm giving this a 4 3/4.
3/4. I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions: we all went Swerve. It's Monty June on 6. James and Jaxie on 5. The AEW Continental Championship was next. Brody King versus Kazuchika Okada. The powerful King was there, but Okada countered with underhanded tactics, catches his opponent with a title belt to the face, but failing to put him down for the free. Eventually, he did keep King down, delivered a Rainmaker for the pinfall victory, and soon putting the Hellhounds behind him. Thoughts? Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Sorry, which one was this?
Okada and King.
Oh, yeah, I definitely thought this was a great match. They literally were just giving each other its all. Like, for me, I felt like they were a good, even match in terms of, like, stature and build. And so in that way, you kind of just had these two, like, you know, beasts, like, going for it. I really enjoyed seeing them. I really wanted to hope that Brody could get a win over Okada, because I would like to hope that they actually push Brody at some point. But I also felt like it's not his time, and in my eyes, it wouldn't make sense for, like, Brody to kind of, like, take the belt here. It would feel out of nowhere, and I feel like there are other players that are bigger right now to take this belt from Okada. So for me, I didn't believe that Brody was going to get the win, but there were a few times that I did think, is he going to do it? Is he going to get it in this moment, you know? So I really enjoyed it. But again, I am also biased because I really like Brody, and I know that some people didn't really find the match dramatic enough for them, but I enjoyed it. So.
I mean, Jackson, I know you're a huge Okada fan, but again, it's, you know, like we said, King maybe wasn't the right man. And what are you thinking of Okada at the moment?
Yeah, like, it's hard because I just don't feel like there was, I think it was right. I don't feel like there was enough build up in story to really believe that Okada was just going to lose the belt just like that. I do believe that, like, you know, I do believe Brody has the capability to beat Okada, but I feel like there wasn't enough of a build up between these two as opponents to truly believe that like Okada was going to lose it here. I'm not entirely sure where things are going to go for this belt. I really don't. Like, I think right now that AEW are having one of those problems with, like, you know, too many belts and not enough time or not the right choices on how to promote them to make them actually seem significant. And I don't think it's any fault of Okada's, but I also just kind of, like, I forget who's wearing what belt, you know? And it's just, it's not that I don't want to like enjoy this, because I know that Okada looks like he's really enjoying himself and just cruising and doing getting easy money from doing like easy matches like this compared to New Japan. So I don't have an issue with like that per se, because he really does look like he's enjoying himself, and I like that for him. But I don't know how much significance I really am finding for each of these belts at this point, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a weird one. I think the match was good, but I just think that like the significance of these belts are falling really flat, and I don't know what they need to do to like spice things up.
Well, even the problem with AEW is there's no like hierarchy with the title belts. At least in WWE, we know like WWE title, world title, Intercontinental US. You can argue, Intercontinental US, whatever. But like I said, Intercontinental, Continental, International, TNT. It's just like I don't know, man.
They're all blending into one, And I think it's mainly the issue of the booking, because again, I don't want to compare champions, but like Darby Allin as TNT champion, his matches felt like more of a big deal. And instead, you've got like the current TNT champion on the pre-show doing a 6-man tag for no reason whatsoever. There's no build-up or storyline or feud really that warranted this match.
Someone who also wants to take that belt with him.
Yeah. Like it just, I don't know. There's just loads of like different like storylines that are at play, but none of them are meshing well enough together to really make you feel like there's a lot of superiority over either belt, So.
But another interesting thing, and Monty, I don't know if you picked on this, what Excalibur was saying, he was comparing Okada with Lionel Messi, and not wrongly comparing the two, because he was saying Messi came over, to America to kind of make the most of it, but he was kind of past his best, and if you're saying that about Okada, I don't know, you might agree past his prime or not. I mean, Messi would be Cope, not Okada, but I can see what they're trying to say, but it's the same problems, isn't it?
Yeah, Messi would probably be closer to Cope, like you mentioned. Somebody like that. Okada, I mean, if you want to say he passed his prime, I get it. But at the same time, I can argue that when he's at his best, we've seen not only at flashes in AEW, but before he left New Japan, he still was at the top of their card, still was giving you crazy finals like the G1 final against Naito, or his matches with Ospreay. So you still knew that he was on top of his game. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really think that applies in Japan, because I mean Tanahashi really didn't get out of his prime until like 2018. So like it's
but like also
I
just think maybe there's a little bias in me, but after going and seeing Okada like wrestling live and in a New Japan event, like I know that he's still got that in him, but I can also see that he's just relaxing and enjoying what he's doing in the AEW at the moment. But I think Monty has mentioned this before, and it's like I don't think we have seen Okada in his like really use his energy that at all, if much, in AEW yet. And I feel like he just needs the right storyline to actually like bring that out. Because like I think
they're just. It feels like AEW just biding their time until they feel like they can do Kenny and Okada. Maybe it's gonna be an all in, but I feel like that'll probably be the first time you see it. Or they let Jay White get in the ring with Okada. They usually bring out the best in each other. Like I said, so far it's like the right opponent. I didn't even think Brody King did that bad. It's just like you mentioned, it's just hard to kind of invest in him winning and actually beating Okada. And another thing is about that.
There's more storyline and build up leading up to this, then maybe we would have believed it a bit more,
Yeah, and then back to the championship conversation. It's just like we mentioned earlier. It's like it's the Continental, International, TNT. They're all in the same spot basically. So it's like, does it really like what stakes does it really hold to kind of have these belts? That's not the belt that Moxley have in the briefcase. That's what, like, every belt is lower than that, but no other belt feels higher than necessarily than the other one at a given moment. It's just, but so that's tough. But like I said, I think Okada, being past. I think the thing about Okada is that he was like this in Japan, to be honest. Like, if he kind of matches who he feels like he's fighting, when he feels like he has to bring it, he can go out there and get the best out of anybody you ask him to. But like, so that's why I think he's a really good big match wrestler. But I know Okada is not used to being stocked in the middle. Think about it. They used Okada's match here, which is we knew it was going to be a slower paced match than Ricochet, but they used it kind of as a placeholder. It wasn't a placeholder match, but it was to cool people down after what they just saw from Ricochet. Okada's not used to that. He is a last match of the show type of guy. He's always been there. So I think at first he was adjusting, then I think he realized what this was, saw he was getting paid a lot of money to kind of just have fun and play a different version of his character. And he was like, you know what? I'm doing something different than what I was doing in Japan. I'm making a lot of money. I got friends here. Why the hell not? Let me just sit back and enjoy it. And I think that's kind of what you're getting more often than not. But I'm not going to write him off yet, because I feel like as soon as they make him stare down with Kenny, that'll really show me. If he get in the ring with a guy like Kenny and they can't instantly light that magic as they've done many times over in the past, then I'll start to be like, you know what, maybe Okada is slowing down. But I don't really have any concrete proof that he is not who he was in Japan. I think the situation is just different.
Yeah, and I think the issue is as well, because of the comparisons, a lot of people regard with Omega and the battles that they had, and Omega now, I think you could argue past his physical peak. And I think with Ricardo, instead of being like that, it's, like you said, going down the gears. And I think he can still, he's not Naito, do you know what I mean? But he might be wrestling a bit like him in these types of matches.
Unlike Naito and Omega, Okada has never been like seriously hurt like that too. He's always been on the go. So he does have the ring time that makes you feel like that, whatever. But he's still, I know it sounds crazy to say this, but he's still kind of like a fresh 37 compared to Kenny Omega's 37 or 38. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different. Naito's in his early 40s. They both been seriously injured and sick, and stuff like that. That takes a toll on you. But I feel like we'll see. I feel like Okada's best in AEW is still yet to come.
This just felt like for the match itself. Gina, what would you score Okada versus Brody?
I did enjoy this match, but I do think there were better matches on the card. And again, if there was more of a storyline that they built between Brody and Okada leading to this match, then maybe I'd have felt a little more maybe invested in the possibility of Okada possibly meeting his match. But because there wasn't, I kind of already had a feeling of this outcome. So for that reason alone, I'm going to give it a 3 3/4.
3 3/4, Jackson.
That was a bit harsh. I don't think that there was any need for it to be that low. I still thought it was a pretty good match. I'm going to give this a 4 1/4.
4 1/4. Monty?
I'll give it 3 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3 3/4 as well. But Jackson, you are an Okada fan. That's fine. Predictions: who went Okada? Monty, Gina on 7, James and Jackson on 6. AEW World Tag Team Championships: the Outrunners versus the Hurt Syndicate, and Lashley and Benjamin retain the titles versus. Oh, do we know the names? Does anybody know the names of the Outrunners? I wanted to play this game. Anybody know their names? Just shout out.
Absolutely
nope.
Well, it is.
I know you're not asking me.
Is one Trent?
No. Trent was from the Best Friends. Sis.
Oh.
You've got Turbo
Floyd, right?
Yeah, Turbo Floyd and Truth
Floyd,
Magnum. There you go.
I didn't know
Truth
they had
Magnum
other
as well.
names. I just said Floyd.
I'm not going to remember that. I will not remember that.
This is not. I'm not going to ask at the end. I just thought if anybody would know. And again, I didn't. I knew one was like Turbo, but I didn't know the other one was called Truth Magnum.
All I knew was Floyd.
Yeah, you can tell what I was doing during this match. It's just trying to go, what can I come up with? This match probably ran longer than it should have, but luckily the Hurt Syndicate retained. Jaxie, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because where all the fucking tag teams gone? But Hurt Syndicate look like a proper tag team. I love matching gears. You know what I'm like.
Yeah, I mean, again, Hurt Business looked great. This match was just there. I think this was more for me the placeholder match. Like there was a reason for this match to be on the card, but there is absolutely no way that I thought the Outrunners were winning this. And again, it is because of how well Hurt Business looked together right now, and they absolutely dominated that match. But you are exactly right. Like, what's going on with the tag team division right now? I think it's really difficult because you don't want to keep looking back in hindsight on, who was on the roster a few years ago and stuff. But right now, we've got a plethora of tag teams on the roster at the moment, but it's still really not at the same level of, we had the Young Bucks, we had the Lucha Bros, we had even Death Triangle, we had so many other interesting tag teams that just meant that the tag team matches could go any way possible, and it's just really difficult right now because I'm glad to say I don't know who really could beat the Hurt Business right now because they are so on fire, they're so hot, and they are a fresh new tag team that have just taken the belt, so let them dominate. But at the same time, I don't know what tag teams AEW really have to start building up for us to really believe they got a chance at taking the tag team belts. Young Bucks are in New Japan at the moment and doing their own thing. Well, they fucked their relationship with the Lucha Bros, so we're never going to get that again. Even I don't know where Jack Perry is. Luchasaurus isn't about still, so there's no best friends or anything. Again,
do you want the list? I've got a list of the AEW Tag Team Champions. Right?
I'm trying to remember.
These are the AEW Tag Team Champions, right? So this is who we had. So we had SoCal Uncensored, which was Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, right? What happened there? Omega and Adam Page, obviously singles. FTR, then the Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, Jurassic Express, of course, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Bucks again, Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Yeah. I don't remember that. The Acclaimed.
So brief. So
we got the Acclaimed, the Guns, FTR, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, Sting and Darby Allin, the Young Bucks, Private Party, and Hurt Syndicate. That's what we've had.
Yeah. See, so it's like it's just gotten weaker and weaker, hasn't it? In terms of the tag teams that have been taking the titles have either been roughly put together or have not actually been a tag team for as long as a lot of the tag teams we do currently have in the division. So, I think where my disappointment lies is that AEW, when first coming out, it was really greatly well known for its production of and presentation of its tag team division. Its trios tag team and the tag team division were so fucking strong. We had trios like Death Triangle, Young Bucks and Kenny. I'm pretty sure Young Bucks and Adam Page at one point as well, maybe. Just loads of different trios that really felt like a solidified group that just were doing great work. But now we still got great groups. I just don't think that we're doing great work with them. I think this is a purely creative issue here. I don't think there's an issue with the teams per se, but there's a creative issue here. There's a creative block, and I don't know what it is, but they need to get the tag team division out of that.
Yeah, and again, Monty, it feels more, rather than having a tag team titles defended, it's getting Bobby Lashley on the pay-per-view, which again, I haven't got a problem with, but again, it's an interesting situation they find themselves in.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was watching the tag match, I was I was happy to see Bob and Shelton and see them look strong, but it definitely kind of made me feel like, oh, okay, then I think the division is cooked, because the team that AEW fans keep telling me about that I had to pay attention to was this team, and and I get it. They are fighting the Hurt Syndicate, so they were probably going to get their ass kicked, but I don't know. It just kind of, like you said, if this is what you put in your faith behind, if this is one of the teams that was kind of getting hot. We also saw, I guess, Mansoor and is he still Mace? Is he still Mace? I don't know if he can still go by Mace.
Yeah, we call him
but
Mace.
Anyway, who cares? The point is, yeah, with those guys, also, I saw them getting a little buzz, and I just remember the hype of trying to rebuild this division around some of these fresher teams, and then you look at them and you're like, oh, well, they're nowhere close to being real contenders. And then you gotta, like you said, you start thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, we saw what happened in Private Party. Could they spin the block at some point? Sure, I guess. I know at this point, I think everybody wouldn't mind it, because I think FTR would give them a good match. But do we really want to force FTR back into this spot? You have the Guns, they've done that. So it's just like they're not deep at all in that division. The focus just don't seem to be there anymore. Maybe you can go Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, or I'm not Bobby Fish, but Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Maybe you can try something like that, or you got them at least, or maybe a couple other tandems. They might need to call some more people from Ring of Honor, but that is where we at now. That is where we at, to where we just need to kind of start, crowdsourcing tag teams at this point, or at least trying to make some organic tandems up to contend. And it's kind of funny, man. It's just kind of funny, like you mentioned, just how well-rounded a lot of the divisions were. Now we're at this point where only thing that's really getting the major attention is the singles division. Both tag divisions really are slim. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal at the moment, but it is definitely something that sticks out on these cards like this, when you have so many good matches, and then the one match that you really know that, all right, you don't even need to really waste your time unless you just want to watch Bobby and them look good, because that's the only thing this did. The only thing this did was make the champs look good. Didn't really do much for the I don't even know their name anymore. But yeah, it didn't even do much. It didn't do good. It didn't do good for Floyd and Turbo and whatever their name is. It didn't do good for them at all. So it just, like, I don't know how to feel about it, other than, like, I guess it's just time to work. But to be honest, right now the state of tag team wrestling in general, across the board, even in WWE, is inconsistent in WWE, but it still feels a hell of a lot more important at times than what we're getting out of AEW. So it'd be nice to see them return that focus at some point. But they need the bodies, they need the team. They need someone or something there to compel people to care about the tag division, other than the people at the top, because really they only have 2 or 3 teams at a time that garners people's attention.
Yeah, that is true. And again, Gina, it's difficult, with the tag team division. There's no kind of sudden fix, but I think the fix maybe for Tony Khan is using what we've just seen with the tag title match and even the Okada match. Lo and behold, I know Monty will hate this, but that's what 0 Hour is for. Put those matches on there, and again, you've got more time for other stuff to breathe and actually give the fans a chance to kind of get into it. I'm sorry, Monty, but I mean, Gina, what do you think?
No, I totally get where you're coming from, James. I mean, it's difficult because, again, like, this match didn't even go for 10 minutes, and as much as I am a huge fan of the Hurt Syndicate, like my sister said, I didn't expect the Outrunners to win this. I didn't think that they have been showcased enough to be taken seriously in thoughts of them taking the belts from the Hurt Syndicate. And again, I don't think they've been built up enough. Like, I know that they've been pushing them on Collision, but again, I'm sorry to tell you, Tony, but Collision isn't seen as a main show. Not everyone tunes into Collision. So even though you showcase your Outrunners on Collision, a lot of the time, people are not really seeing them on there that much if they only stick to the main Dynamite show. So it's really hard to take these guys seriously when in a realistic view, the match going just 10 minutes long shows you can't even go 15 minutes in the ring with the Hurt Syndicate, so you shouldn't even be on their level to be challenging them. But like you guys have rightly pointed out, there's so many more people on the roster that probably could have been built up to give them like a bit of a scare at this pay-per-view. But either way, I'm glad I got to see the Hurt Syndicate. Did I think the Outrunners were going to have any chance? None whatsoever. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think we were going to talk about that match. But again, we're talking about the tag division, aren't we? So, again, it's good to go a little bit in depth. So, Jaxie. Sorry. Jaxie, what would you give out of 5?
The tag match?
Yes.
It just wasn't bad, but just like not a lot happened because, like you said, it was quite short. It's quite a hard one to place. I'll give it a 3.5.
Fair enough. Monty?
2.9.
Ooh. Gina?
3.5. No, 3.25.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3.25 as well. Predictions, we all went Hurt. So Monty, Gina on 8, James and Jaxie on 7. As I will say for predictions as well, it's never been this close, I don't think. And I don't know if it's going to be doing it for a few years or whether it is, but it is so tight at the top. Up next, AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Storm and May promised a Hollywood ending, and in the City of Angels, that is exactly what they delivered. Champion challenger used steel chairs, tables, ring steps, glass, a champagne bottle, and the infamous shoe that started it all while their faces were caked in their crimson masks. Like I said, many callbacks here present, including the champagne bottle, as well as Storm whipping May with the championship belt. Ultimately, the battle spilled from the ring and up the ramp, where it's concluded with Storm utilising that shoe and a former protege, and then driving her through a Hollywood-inspired table with a Storm Zero for the win. After the bell, Storm lay draped over her opponent as the words "the end" appeared on the video screen to a roar from the crowd. Monty, this is how you fucking do it.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna do this justice. I mean, this is just like it was incredible. I mean, as much as I complained to myself, not because of the women. I don't think Mariah or Tony did anything wrong at all during the build, because every time they were on TV and they were doing things together, it was good. I'm just not a big fan of let's stretch a storyline all the way to the like almost the next calendar year just because we want to make certain story beats. Because even when Mariah May was champion, I still stand by this. We all knew that she was keeping it until Tony came back. It worked out that way, but the payoff is definitely made me feel like it was worth it. I'm still not a fan of stretching storylines for the sake of stretching them, but how can you complain about that? I mean, it was very poetic. I really do wonder, and we'll talk about it more later, but whoever put this match together, I don't know if they knew when they put this all together along with Tony and Mariah. I don't know if they knew that it was going to be what it was. And the only reason why I say that is because it was done so well that even though we had three more matches left, I think after this, and don't get me wrong, we'll talk about how good or how whatever those matches were too. But this is one of those matches that I kept seeing photos, kept hearing people talking about. Just that night, the next night, just the that was the one of those everlasting shots of them two going out there, not only draped across each other with the end, but just the blood and a lot of the imagery from that match. Like, no matter where you were, when you think about Revolution, I think the clips or the things from this match were the thing that kind of stuck with us the most, at least from my point of view. If you just look at the fallout from this show, but yeah, man, it was just, I don't know how much better you could get than this. And like you mentioned, the callbacks, the wrestling. I do want to point out that if you are a man and you're complaining about women getting getting this much color or bleeding or fighting with glass. You are misogynistic. You are a dick, most likely. I just want you to know that. And the reason why I say that is because I just don't like the story is there. The reason for their hatred is there. You can't even complain and be like, well, they're just being violent for the sake of violence. Like, no, we know why they hate each other at this point. The stakes were there. The championship is on the line. What more do you need to justify some of the stuff we've seen? And they could have went harder if you ask me. When it comes to like violence, in my opinion.
Yeah, we have seen that, haven't we? Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
We've seen it already in AEW that they could have did worse. But this one, unlike no offense to Chris and Willow, which is another excellent physical type of match, this one had a overarching angle story that they've told in the best way possible, with both characters, in my opinion, coming out looking like at the end of the day they'll go down. Like this Mariah May, one of the first people I've ever seen come into a promotion, and basically the first huge storyline they sink their teeth into might have her immortalized for the rest of her career, just for how great I feel like the work her and Tony did together. Like it was incredible. And I'm not even really talking about the match. I'm just talking about the implications and talking about some of the stuff they were willing to do. And then for them to not care and go out there and push those boundaries. Like, shout out to y'all, because they don't, you gotta have, that it's gonna be idiots out there saying, "Oh, you're a woman. Why are you doing this?" And I don't want to see women bleed or whatever. Why the hell are you watching this show then? It's AEW. Didn't we see Swerve get Didn't we see Bryan Danielson get suffocated, and we saw Swerve get a syringe stuck in his face? Like, we seen the dudes go out there and do some of the sickest stuff almost every big show. But then when the women go out there and do it, you got people complaining. Like, I just want to want to stomp that out right now, because that's just misogynistic and stupid.
Yeah.
But this was incredible, and 5 stars for me easily. But I'll let you guys do the rest. I didn't want to talk too much, but I really had to get that out.
Well, no, there's nothing more I like than seeing a woman getting hit in the face. All right, just to play devil's advocate on that kind of comment, So I enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah. Tony might have done a too good a job blading at one point. I was a little bit worried. But again, the visuals on show for this match, Storm laying in the ring, surrounded by glass and everything else going on. Like I said, he didn't hang around and got straight to it. Even Jay on commentary knew how good this would. And, like you said, this has been AEW's best story for over a year. And I think Gina, and again, others might want to say as well, but this could have main evented a pay-per-view and probably made more sense main eventing after what we saw in the actual main event, and also having the end and then the show finishing would have been perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, that's one thing I was about to comment. Is the fact that I really felt like this match should have main evented, with Mariah coming out with her wedding veil, from Tony meeting her at the entrance to start the fight. The fact that they finished the match on the Hollywood table, coming up with the end at the back, like, it just felt like this should have been the main event match, and I don't see why it wasn't. I mean, part of me feels like it wasn't, because I think they main evented the last one, didn't they, in Australia or somewhere. But either way, it still made sense with, like you said, all the hype that was coming out of this match. All the fans were talking about this match after the event, the most out of all matches. That's all I saw on my Twitter line. Yeah. And again, it just really felt like this should have been the main event. And for Tony to get this win, whether she got the win of the belt last time, this felt like she shut Mariah down for good. It's not the fact that I've taken the belt, I'm now the champ. She shut the chapter of the story, so that's why it would have made sense to make this the main event. So I thought it was brilliant. And again, I just truly felt the raw emotion from both women throughout the entirety of the match. And I thought it was just perfect. Yeah.
And again, like we said, we know Toni Storm is the woman, and Jackson, my only worry from this match to the finish was hopefully May can bounce back and not fall into kind of AEW obscurity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like they don't want to drop her momentum, but there's also no need for her to go into another storyline with Tony at this point. I think it would be good maybe to build her up as potentially someone who could eventually oversee or overtake Mercedes. That's a strong possibility. But at this point, I think like you guys have really summed up well, and I think is exactly like the end of their match. They summed it up well. Like this is done, and they both need to go off into different feuds now for us to believe, someone else actually will be able to take the women's title from Tony eventually. They need to start building other women, getting more women like back into the main title picture that actually could be seen as like formidable threats.
And I think going back to the main event thing as well, if any women's match, like I said, deserved to be in that position, it's this one. And you think, when's the next time, a rivalry and a feud's going to get that hot? And it's rare, isn't it, that the 3 matches delivered. There wasn't one dud in the 3 of them.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree there. And just, what stuff that I was not expecting, like everyone, just you could tell how hard they were all working. So for me, this just again worked really, really well.
Without doubt. So Monty gave it 5. I'm going to give it 5. Gina, what are you going to score it?
Yes, a 5 from me.
5. And Jaxie?
5 from me.
5 all rounds. Predictions, we went Storm, so Monty, Gina on 8, James and Jaxie on 7. Really need him slipping up. AEW International Championship, Kenny Omega versus Takeshita. And Takeshita targeted Omega's stomach and abdomen area, exploiting the illness that sidelined his rival previously. The champion delivered a release German suplex that turned Omega inside out and landed him stomach first on the floor. He added a front suplex on the edge of the table, adding injury to injury. Late as they threw their best at each other, Omega rocked Takeshita with a V-trigger and set up the one-winged angel. The champion slipped out, but Omega caught him with a crucifix ping. Takeshita countered, but so did the best bout machine, who grabbed the leg of his opponent and finally scored the win. And your new international champion, if that's what it's called, is Kenny Omega. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
I thought this match was so good. I was really excited to see it because I know that Takeshita and Omega have history. With Omega going out on injury, it's kind of still built up the anticipation to see these two in the ring go for it and not within a tag team match, I just thought this match was brilliant from beginning to end. Again, because they have history, they have so much chemistry in the ring with each other. And it's not that I kind of was worried that Kenny wouldn't get the win, because I feel if anyone was going to win against Takeshita and take that belt from him, Kenny is the perfect person to do it. But obviously with Don Callis being out there, you had to expect some tomfoolery to come out. And there was that slight worry of, are they going to pull a DQ out? Is there going to be other involvement that makes Takeshita come out on top? But it was just great to see Kenny get like the win on top of him. And again, it was just such a great finisher because they kept going back and forth. And there was a time where like I think Takeshita hit him with his knee. And like I think Kenny kicked out at the 1, and that was like the perfect like kick out. Yeah. It was just so good. They worked well together. They look like they've fought in the ring for many, many years, and they trusted each other, and it just came out as a great match.
Yeah, without a doubt. I completely agree. Jaxie, maybe in an ideal world, Takeshita would have won. He's been on fire recently, but again, the story is about could Omega get the job done, and like we said, that's what it was about.
Yeah, and I don't think that the question needs to be that per se. I think the better question is, what championship does he move on to now to conquer? Because he did everything he could. He did everything he could with that belt. He's produced some of the best matches of 2024, defending that belt, and he's just done so much with it. Like we can look at this as a loss to Kenny Omega, but at the same time, look at the amount of stuff he's accomplished, and to have only someone like Kenny Omega be the one to dethrone him, it's like, what else could he do? Like Takeshita is doing so well, and this is the one thing that creative are doing right within AEW is like, you know, how they've booked Takeshita so far. In a realistic world from this point, it would be great to start booking him in a way where he starts to get fed up with Don and his constant talking and his constant like downfall that he may like start to get as a result of still being associated with Don. And who knows, we might see like a face turn for Takeshita where he will go on a bit more of a better face rampage, but like with a new belt eventually. You never know, but I do believe that this is going to be something that they'll be like looking at, like what like the story really will be what's next for Takeshita at this point.
Yeah, I think as well, obviously saw with the Dynamite after with Takeshita answering Max Caster's open challenge. The crowd are invested in Takeshita, and he's a cool dude, isn't he? So like I said, I can definitely see that down the road.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell there was like a lot of frustration and a lot of anger, and just the way that he came across, like there's stuff that he's got to work on. And I feel like we're gonna maybe get potentially like a different approach from Takeshita in whatever he decides to do next in AEW. Whatever it is, even though he lost, it doesn't feel like he's lost, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't feel like a loser to me.
Yeah, it wasn't definitive, was it? You know, yeah.
No. So like I'm really intrigued to see what's next.
And again, Monty, we mentioned it with Okada, but with Kenny, this actually might be his last kind of proper full-time run. Let's hope he can keep up with health-wise and, like I said, deliver the Okada match that I think everybody knows is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing with Kenny. You kind of don't know exactly how much longer he can go at this pace or with this style. And I think that's why he worked. That adds an effective element to his babyface. You know, my favorite Kenny Omega before this was not really him as a babyface. I like the cleaner. I like gray-haired, heelish, cocky Kenny Omega, and I might not ever really get that version of him back from the New Japan days, but to watch him give the babyface performance of a lifetime that he kind of gives here kind of puts him in not a new perspective, but it's always kind of cool to get a different version of your favorite and watch them evolve and tell a story, because I know Kenny gets a lot of flack for just going out there and doing big moves, and this match definitely had the big move trading that we're used to, but it also had a lot of little psychology, a lot of ab and midsection work because of the diverticulitis and stuff like that. So, really the worst thing about it maybe was like the interference stuff, but Don Callis is there for a reason, so I guess I can't complain too much about that. And but yeah, man, this is just excellent. I mean, they did probably a better match than this in 2023, but it's arguable, and I think that's kind of cool to see when you think about how much Kenny has been through, and like I say, the elements of just his health, and like I said, I just really love the storytelling. I love the how he kind of just, although the younger and the more healthy talent out wrestled him at times, Kenny showed that grit, as people love to overuse that word, that allows you to overcome adversity, and he did it. And I think that element of his character is going to make this run a little bit different. It's going to be, even with the possible or a match that we know probably coming with Okada, I cannot wait to see just how deep do they go into Kenny in this current form of just overcoming the pain and all of that we know he's going to be in going forward. But, this stage of his career is interesting. He's still kind of in the greatest hits part of his comeback. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see what happens as time goes on. But this was top-notch wrestling, man, and following some excellent stuff. To go out there and still be just as excellent, if not, some people may think better, maybe a little worse. I don't know. It depends on how you want to look at it. But Kenny and Takeshita were excellent here, and you come again. I expect that, but it's still something you still got to show love and give credit when they go out there, do what you expect at a high level.
Yeah, without a doubt. So scores out of 5 then. Gina, what would you give this match out of 5?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked this match, and I do feel biased because I love both wrestlers. I'm gonna give this like 4.9.
Fine. That's fine. Jaxie?
4 3/4 for me.
Quarters. Monty?
Yeah, 4 3/4 is my score.
And I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions all went Omega. So Monty Gina on 9, James and Jackson on 8. The steel cage match was next. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. This was another bloody contest that was less impactful in that regard because of the instant classic we witnessed earlier between Storm and May. With that said, it was still a war of attrition between the two men who once stood side by side. Barbed wire, screwdrivers, thumbtacks, and an awesome Spanish fly from the top of the cage set up one last hidden blade from Ospreay and the devastating Tiger Driver 91 that finally finished the double tough Fletcher. But Jaxie in this one, Will had to work overtime to get the fans invested, but he did.
Yeah, I don't know if it was mainly like Will's issue over like kind of him versus Kyle Fletcher again. I don't know if that was sort of like the mentality that like fans watching like sort of had going into this match. But right from the get-go, when they both started on the very top of the steel cage, I was like, yeah, we got to remember that this is a steel cage match with two high flyers in. Like, this is not going to be your average, like, sit-down watch. They're going to do anything.
You think they're going to dive at each other when they're on top? I thought they could dive. Go on.
I genuinely thought they were both going to just jump like Assassin's Creed style and just try and fucking aim for each other.
Ricochet and Logan Paul clash type thing.
Yeah, like, I don't know what I was expecting when they both were just staring off at each other across the ring, but I was like, I already feel sick. I'm not good with heights. A lot of people know that. And yeah, at that point, I was like, I feel sick. I wouldn't even be able to look at my opponent from across that cage because I've been too busy looking down and probably just walking off the side where I feel like I'm just about to pass out, you know? So how they both like created so much intensity right from the very get-go with that stare off, it just set the pace for what that match was going to be. And they did exactly what they set out to do. You're right in terms of how Will was able to kind of get the crowd really like wild partway through the match. But I also think that Kyle Fletcher did a very good job at like, you know, just continuously riling up the crowd himself in every small moment that he could get. Like there were a few moments where you were just like, you know, are they going to call it? Is one of them just going to, you know, go out, climb out the top of the ring and exit that way? And I was like, actually, do you know what? I don't see either man doing that. Both of these men hate each other so much. They are not leaving that ring unless they're like pinning one of them, you know?
Yeah.
I thought this match was really great. I think it did a lot to showcase what Kyle Fletcher is capable of. And really continues to it continues to gain more interest in what Kyle will do in a few years' time. You know, he's working with the best people at the moment, and he's working with his best friend. You could just tell how much fun they both had with each other. So I thoroughly enjoyed this match. From watching it from a point of view of two best friends being able to work together the way they are, to you know, the caliber of wrestling that they put on in that match. So yeah, I'm overly impressed overall, and just thought this was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but I think, and again, Monty, as we mentioned, you know, you got more experience with Ospreay with big matches, but Jack's made an excellent point where Ospreay and Fletcher, you know, have gone round the world together and they can finally deliver on pay-per-view. Like I said, the issue was the crowd have already seen this match twice before, but again, they delivered everything, including the Styles Clash on thumbtacks, which I never want to see again.
Yeah, after I don't know if I need to see them fight again for a while either, for that matter. You know, like you said, once you do some of the things they executed in this one, it's like, do they
got to be done now.
Yeah, I don't think they really need to do this anymore. at least for a while.
No. Yeah.
I think the best part of it to me is that Ospreay is really like, I think everything Ospreay does, especially by the internet community, and the internet community makes up a lot of AEW's fan base. That's not a shot. That's just factual. I'm really happy that he gets a chance to give Kyle Fletcher. It's not really just a rub because at this point AEW is doing a lot in general to make Kyle Fletcher a thing. But like when you think about how young he was and just where I always kind of looked at him, I knew he was a star of the future. But for Ospreay to kind of make it one of his things as his run has continued in AEW to give Kyle Fletcher the spotlight, I think matches like this are a big reason why. And like at the end of the day, I kind of just looked at it that way. It's like this feels like at the end we're gonna be looking back at some of this feud. We'll look back years later when Kyle Fletcher is a multiple-time world champion, possibly, or whatever his future may lie, and we're gonna think back to how his work with Ospreay is kind of why we are where we are with him. So it's one of those things, man, that you just kind of you don't want to take for granted that we're kind of getting a chance to watch that. And I think that's what kind of makes this special, in my opinion, the most to me. You know, like the work was great. The feud has been okay, even though if not repetitive, I will say that this kind of was one of those feud that dragged a little bit. Like you mentioned earlier, how many times the Don Callis stuff and all of that came back to bite Ospreay or whatever. It's just like they've been doing this a while. But for this to be the blow off, for us to get Ospreay on to the next possible thing, whatever that may be, I thought they did an excellent job. And I think Kyle Fletcher ended up, although he lost, he ended up winning. You know, pulling out the screw. I'll never forget how crazy he looked when he pulled out the screwdriver and stabbed Ospreay in the head. So
very arousing.
Some of that stuff
as well, the way he licked it. Sorry, that was just me. No.
Now that part I didn't like. That part is like that, and I hate to say this, but this is what we say in my household. Like, yep, now that's white people shit right there. I ain't licking that. I ain't licking that at all. Don't do that. But anyway, that's what we. But yeah, but hey, that's kind of, again, for the sickos, as they say. So, but yeah, no, this is good, man. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, Mox. Mox was proud. Mox was.
Yeah, I know Mox definitely got a kick out of it.
That's my voice.
Yeah, matter of fact, Fletcher might be getting recruited. Might be a future Death Rider if they with that type of behavior.
I would even be surprised. Yeah, I would not even be surprised.
Yeah, so no, this was excellent stuff. I'm glad it was one of those matches where you enjoy the ride. But like once it's over, it's like as a matter of fact, I'll compare it to this. If you ever been to Six Flags or a big carnival or something that we have over here in the States, you get on that big ride that take you all the way up in the sky, goes fast, or the nice roller coaster. You enjoy it, but I never want to do it
again. Yeah.
Well, this kind of reminded me of a story, because again, the amount of violence that we had, and again, it's a bit of a weird story. I'll try and hurry it up as much as I can. This man with a family walking down the road and he sees someone on the side of the road dying. And he sees him. He goes, "Oh, my God, cannot believe it." Goes over and checks on him. And everything, let's make sure he's right. And the guy dies. And he's devastated. Walks on. He sees two people. But as he carries on walking with his family, he sees 2, 3, 4, 5. So by the time he gets to 20 people lying there dying, he's like, he's kind of used to it because he's seen that before. And I feel that's my problem with AEW was like, this is gruesome and shit, but it's like, I have seen it before. Gina, can you have too much of a good thing maybe when it comes to this? And the other thing that pissed me off, outside interference in a cage match. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm not surprised with the outside interference just because it's the whole Don Callis family and that's what they're known for. And we know there are several members. So I'm just not surprised at this point with the outside interference. But when you say, can there be too much? I mean, I'm 100% with Monty on the blood licking. Like in my household, hell no, like definitely not. That's just not my thing. I don't.
Oh, we do that over time here. Like, yeah, in my house.
Or to bring out, like, guys, you're already doing enough. You don't need to lick up each other's blood. Like, we're not watching an old school Wiccan movie. we're over this. So yeah, that is too much for me. But I think when you know that you've had, blood in your previous 2 matches that you've just had as well, there does come a time like, okay, is this like going too much? Like, has Tony gone to everyone? I want all of you. I want to see blood. I want to see blood.
Fuck them up. Just
all of you
running
bleed
backstage.
tonight. If you don't bleed, you're fired. You're out. You're done. It feels like that's kind of like what's gone on backstage, because everyone's wanting to bleed tonight. And don't get me wrong, it's great effect. It's great to get people hooked into it. But you also have to admit, like, there may be some fans out there who are wrestling fans but might have a weak stomach and are a bit queasy. So sometimes you're like, are you doing a bit too much in one show? And sometimes, getting that shock factor by not having blood every week it makes it more of a big deal when you do have it as well. So it's also kind of taken the shock factor of seeing the blood away. When you see too much of it, you're just like, yeah, this is normal, do something else, because people are going to get so used to it now that they're going to want to see more. And these wrestlers hurt themselves enough,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see more. So yeah,
we don't want to see guns. We don't want to see anything like that.
Exactly. In a sense, is there like too much blood sometimes? Sometimes yes, and the crowd can't even argue with me on that. When you've had previous crowds shouting, "Please be careful," So yeah.
Do you know what? Just going on from that, like AEW, that give me that sense of, like you said, sis, like Tony, like telling everyone, I challenge you to make the next people bleed more than the other one before. But it kind of goes in the theme of, like, you remember like some of the Attitude Era opening themes for Raws and SmackDown? It feels like that type of music should be playing alongside each of these matches, with how like each of them just feel like they, just like, I can't remember which one what the name of, like, one of the, I'm pretty sure it's like a Raw opening that I've got like in mind, but it's just one song in particular where it just is like absolute carnage from like the Attitude Era. You would just see like snippets of Mick Foley and Stone Cold and Undertaker all bleeding to hell, and it's like, just gives me vibes of that sort of opening. Like, that's what Tony was like, look at this as reference and then do this in your matches. That's the vibe I get.
So anyway, for the match, rating out of 5, Jackson, what would you give this out of 5?
This is really tough. I feel like this was a really great match. Like, I'm like, I want to give it a 5, but like I don't feel like it's as like much up there as the other 5s I've given out. So I'm gonna give it a 4 3/4 instead.
4 3/4. Monty?
I'll give it 4.5.
Half. Gina?
Yeah, 4.5 from me.
I'm going to give it 4.5, and I think that's the last time we're going to reach the 4s today. Predictions: Monty and Gina on 10, James and Jaxie on 9. We got to the point that we can talk about in the crowd. We speak to the queen of the new film out. I can't remember, the Queen of the Ring. That's out, about Mildred Burke, and that's important. And the director seemed happy about it. But Damaris was asked by Tony Schiavone, it's like that she learned. She went, the wrestlers know the results. Well, what the fuck was she thinking?
That was just the most. Like, it was just radio silence. Like, I swear I can hear crickets. Like, even who was it? Was it Tony who was like even interviewing her? And even he seems like flabbergasted. Like, how do I respond to this? What do I say? Yeah. And like, I don't know. I watched a few YouTube videos discussing like this awkward moment in the AEW, and like, one of the questions that was asked by a fellow wrestling YouTuber said, just sort of mentioned, have we forgotten that, like, there were other female wrestlers that were in this movie, those like Camille and stuff, and they weren't even shown. You know, I don't know what's gone on between Camille and AEW, but what I do know is that there's clearly some hostility towards her because she's part of this movie and she's apparently a very significant character that has a lot to do with the ending of the story. And yet she could have been asked to, like, you know, give any sort of promotional speech, which would have made sense considering she's on the roster. And we had, like, I'm sorry, is Tamara actually a wrestler? Or is she just an actress playing a wrestler?
She I don't know if you can tell, yeah? But she is a new actress with hardly any media experience.
I was going to say, she's too new to be, like, this dumb about, like, wrestling, but also just to kind of, like, openly call that out. It's just a no-no. You know?
I think it's the greatest comment ever made. I hope a lot of kids are watching.
Oh my God.
And it's their Santa Claus moment of just like,
it was awful.
What? They know the results. Like, well, I'm not watching this shit anymore, Dad. Do you know what I mean? I want that.
Honestly, yeah, I don't know. All I know is that they could have had anyone else speaking, and instead they just fucked it, really. So
I know. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, Monty, do we have to go back to like WCW to find something as stupid as the comment that she made?
What did I say earlier about celebrity involvement in wrestling? No, I mean, I'm not gonna go hard on the girl. I mean, some wrestling fans definitely was hot about it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. To be fair to them, I get it, but you know, it's more so like the delivery. It's more so how it was so innocent. That's the reason why I don't even want to go too hard on her, because I don't think
I was just like, what?
Yeah, I don't think she meant. She don't even know how bad it is to kind of say that during a broadcast.
Before the main event.
Right before the main event, you know. So I don't think she realized the magnitude of what she was doing, so I get it. But yeah, man, it was just one of those things that it's just like another little screw up in AEW trying to expand their horizons, trying to promote outside things. And, you know, like you mentioned, they do have wrestlers who are involved. You know, this probably was best suited for like an edited video package. Maybe that's what should have been. You know what I mean? Maybe you show like a clip of her and other actors and like maybe some of your wrestlers who were in the movie. Maybe you show them talking about the movie there and then go to the main event instead of doing like a live put on the spot type interview question.
Could they have had her sit there with like Tony Storm, had someone else leading the conversation?
I think they tried their best, and I think my favourite thing was after she said that the director wanted to talk, and Tony's like, "No, we're done."
Yeah, he was like, "Nah, that's what we had time for, folks."
Yeah, what's the director gonna go? It's like, it's all fake. Yeah, you cunts. Like, do you know what I mean? It couldn't be
you guys are idiots. You didn't know that they know what's going on. Like, oh my God. But yeah, I don't want to go too hard on her because, like, I don't think she didn't even realize what she did there, you know, until probably after the fact. I bet her social media got blew up by some.
I bet she knew now. Yeah.
I know some fans definitely blew her up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
I definitely know that she has taken a bit of slack, and I don't think it's entirely her fault. But they should have really given her some pointers on what to talk about when she got interviewed in that moment. You know, if there was anything that could have been done to prepare her better for that.
This is why promos are scripted and wrestling is a work. You know. Anyway, on to the main event, AEW World Championship. It's Cope versus Jon Moxley, and this is what we wanted: a slow, plodding contest that never got out of first gear and struggled to get the fans to buy in as well. I was dreaming of this type of match, especially after 4 hours, you know. And for a match that was preceded by some intense brawling angles, this opted to do the complete opposite. We saw the exposed arena floor and ring steps as weapons throughout most of it, and then a referee bump, an appearance by Wheeler Yuta and Jay White, I say making the save, but actually hitting Cope as well. The introduction of steel chairs brought the crowd alive, as did the spears from Cope, and maybe the possibility of a new champion instead. Christian Cage made his presence felt, cashing in his guaranteed title match contract, only to be choked out by Moxley, who retained the title to legitimate groans from the fans in LA. Swerve Strickland somewhat saved the ending of the pay-per-view, leading from the stands and a double stomp on Moxley to set stage for their next challenger. But at this point, it was too little, too late. Gina, what are your thoughts on this?
It was shit. I don't even spend time on this. I know Monty has probably got a shit ton of wisdom to like drop down on us more better than what I can say, and I'm sure my sister's got a lot to say of this match, so I will try to keep my thoughts short. But this match was shit for me. It didn't hit home. The build up to this, I already kind of felt a bit bored by this feud of Cope and Mox. I did expect tomfoolery. I did expect more of the Death Riders to be coming out and be getting involved in this match. I don't know. I'm quite shocked at how just shit I feel this match was. The crowd was dead. They were not into it whatsoever. They hated everything that was being done. It just felt like a messy slugfest. Then they put Christian into it, and I don't like that. I'm gonna get this over with real quick. Like Christian's held on to that contract for so long. I'm not saying that he should have won definitely for help because he's held it for so long, but literally you just used him. He's held that for so long. For what? For this? For him to take the pin because what? Cope didn't want to lose to Mox. Like I have no idea what they were thinking with this outcome, but it really did not work for me. You know, even if Christian, they did plan for Christian to cash in his contract and still not win the belt, regardless, they still could have let Christian have a decent match for this and then still see him lose. For him to just go in and lose it like this is just kind of like a slap in the face. And personally, I love to hate Christian. I love what he's done with his character. I think, him making himself Nick's daddy and things like this, it's worked well for him. He's built his character up so well, since the beginning of him joining AEW. And in a way, it just feels like Cope has been put on this pedestal since coming in because of his status, of course, but he's just been there all the time. He's not had to build a new kind of persona up. We've all just been told, you now got to call him Cope instead of Adam Copeland, and you've got to do this. I don't know, it's not hitting home for me. It didn't work, and I thought the whole match was shit, and I thought that this should have been Mariah and Tony in the main event, not these two. Swerve saved it at the end for me.
I'm glad you didn't have a lot to say. But
Sorry.
no. But you're exactly right. And again, we were singing Edge's theme back at the Clash. I don't know why it's so special that people are doing it now. Jaxie, what were your thoughts? I mean, to say they didn't gel well would be an understatement.
Yeah, just this whole match just didn't end up clicking well. It's hard because I don't want to say that we weren't a lot of people wanted this match, but it just it didn't live up to the hype that everyone was expecting, and I think overall with the caliber of matches we literally had that just kept on peaking one after the other to have this as the main event. Yeah, when you look at it in hindsight, I just think that Tony and Mariah's May would have slotted perfectly here. I think the one thing that my sister said right was that this match was messy, but not in the greatest of ways. When we could talk about how matches are so hard hitting and they're so non-stop and they're so messy, that is so good. This is the opposite to that. This was messy and you just overall didn't even know what was happening. You had loads of interference. You had Jay White coming out. I am sick to death of Jay sort of being involved in Cope's storyline. Jay White in his own right should be on a warpath for John Moxley himself. He should have rightly so been champion if it wasn't for Utah. The fact that Jay has still got this ongoing feud with Utah, it's get over that. I just feel like all the characters are being used in the wrong way. I think it was completely disrespectful to have someone like Christian who worked on this character, this persona, earned this contract and held it for so long, just to waste it in this manner. Again, I think, like my sister said as well and touched on, if he'd have been a longer part of the match and had a decent like amount of time in the match to make something of it, then I don't feel like this would have been like so much of a total loss had he lost. But the way that everything was so messily slung together, this just like to me didn't work and just really just smacked all of Christian's hard work in his face. I don't know, something didn't resonate or connect with this match, and for me, I just like, it's really sad to say this, but the main event was like the most disappointing match for me. I think I'll let Monty take it from there. I'm quite interested to hear what he has to say.
It was maybe the worst AEW main event of all time, and Monty. Yeah. Remember what I said?
And I don't want to say that about these two wrestlers, because I know that they can produce good wrestling in the ring, but just something didn't work at all.
Well, Monty, I will ask Monty this, and all of you will answer as well, I suppose, at some point. But Monty, I'll ask you directly. Remember when I said Mox was overrated, and everybody was aghast, eh? What about now?
I remember. I still don't think Mox is overrated. I think the storyline died a long time ago, but a lot of that,
that's exactly
ain't necessarily just Mox. It's just bad booking and clunkiness, and and Tony Khan's resist. I told you, I mentioned it with the Tony Storm. Tony Storm and Mariah May, unfortunately, or fortunately for Tony, were interesting enough and compelling enough, and they're doing something so different to where it's a clear goal with what they're doing, to where they were able to stretch a story this long. The Death Riders started and did not seem like it has a clear destination on how they want to close this off, or what they actually want to. Like I said, from the beginning, people are wondering, all right, well, what's the actual end goal here? Is it just a vanity project for Moxley or whatever it is? That's what it's starting to become. But like the problem is nobody knows what the end goal is. Nobody knows who the actual star they're trying to make as an end result of this. Is it Darby Allin? Well, Darby is on the mountain right now. I don't know if they didn't know his scheduling of the Mount Everest or whatever, but if we're waiting on Darby, we're still going to be waiting for a while. You know, it's obviously not for Kenny, because they came back and got him doing other stuff. Who is this actually for? So I think that's the problem. The problem is this storyline has dragged for a long time. They've done the same thing over and over and over, and we don't really have a good payoff or strong enough cast of baby faces right now that they're trying to invest in. Like I said, maybe Swerve is the answer, maybe Swerve is the end, and he can save it. But that's the problem to me. I think the only reason why we're gasping is mostly because we know what Moxley is. He's a 4-time champion for a reason. I don't necessarily think he is the actual problem. He just so happened to be the main character in a bad story. I don't necessarily know if that's his fault. Or is that whoever's big idea this whole entire thing was? But he definitely had to take some blame for it. And I also don't believe that everything in this match is necessarily on him. I mean, how much of this do we have to ask about what does Cope actually still have left as a main eventer? I don't know. I mean, he still has a chance to redeem himself, don't get me wrong. But he did jump off the top of a cage and injured himself pretty brutally. So, like, how do we know that what he was capable of? So to watch him go out there and have to put on this performance, it doesn't bode well for the way he possibly could be looking going forward. Now, I don't know. I don't want to say it's over for him. He's out of it. He's done. But it didn't look good from the beginning. Like, everybody, we want to talk about Christian. Yes, the way what happened to Christian was horrible. But it wasn't that good from the beginning. They started off with the strike exchange that I assume they thought the people were going to be excited for. But for some reason, I guess they didn't realize that, no, after you had the woman saying wrestling is fake, and after 3 kick-ass incredible matches, you might have to try to do something to get the energy going for this match, because it's not really the story, in my opinion. Because unlike I heard earlier that maybe you were looking forward to this. I wasn't really looking forward to this match going into it. Not because of anything about them. It got more so to do with just me not thinking that Copeland was supposed to become champion. Now Christian's element was interesting, and I thought that's how they were going to save this, especially when you think about the end result of a match that we got. So when he did what he did, I was actually intrigued again. And then, they went the way they decided to go. But yeah, I mean, it was clunky from the beginning. It did. I mean, Edge, I don't know why he can't take a double arm DDT. That wasn't pretty. I mean, it was just everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. And then they had to follow the Omegas, the Ospreys, and Mariah May and Toni Storm in fantastic match. So to me, part of me is like they were damned from the start, because the way this card was put together, they really had to follow some bangers. But at the same time, this is the main event. These two guys are veterans. They should be ready. But what I didn't like is, if you look at how the match was put together, they compare that to what we just saw with the screwdriver in the cage and all that insane stuff. Like you mentioned, Jane, at this point, we're done. We've seen so much brutality. And then they go out there and they just give us like a run-of-the-mill brawl, so to speak. So it didn't lead up. It didn't end well. The quality wasn't there. And then when you do that to Christian, a character who kind of has lost steam, but deservedly so, because we all thought that briefcase that he had was gonna pay off at some sort. I do think they missed a couple opportunities here, in my opinion, to also save this segment by doing something interesting. I 100% agree about Jay White. I don't like him as just some placeholder babyface for Cope. I wanted him to turn on Cope so bad. First of all, Jay White excelled as a heel, and second of all, it just would have been more interesting than what we end up getting than the old oopsie face after you hit Cope on accident. And then also with the Christian stuff, just pull the trigger if you're gonna do it. That would at least been more interesting. And then even Swerve and Christian still could have worked for the next show if that's what you want to do. I think the fans. This is
TK's problem, because he doesn't want to pull the trigger on anything. Like he just he gives us the what ifs, but never follows through with any of those plans.
And he doesn't do a good job of listening. Like AEW fans and him, and sometimes they love to make a big deal about how, the fans' product, but Tony does not really do a good job, if we really think about it, of realizing when the fans are over something. You know what I mean? Like, yes, Triple H drags stuff out too as a booker sometimes, and yes, we would just wish they go ahead and do the heel turn that we know is coming. Just go ahead and do it. But for some reason, just like with Jericho, just like with other things, Tony Khan will not let something go. Like the fans, from what I've been seeing, have been talking about for months. Like you just said, James, you complained about it in December. You're over this Death Rider stuff. And here we are here again. We got an opportunity to get it off Moxley in a creative way. His faction has been kind of broken down. You can just get out of this storyline now, and we can move on. So I don't know. I don't know what's next. I think Swerve should be the one to do it because of the overall just apathy I felt like everybody kind of had for this entire match and what they have for the storyline right now. But honestly, at this point, who's to say that's even guaranteed? Because I don't know. Can we even guarantee that Moxley will lose it to Swerve or whatever? I don't know.
Right. So now my turn to have a little rant. I'll let everybody else have a little go. Gina called it shit. It wasn't shit. It was dog shit. I mean, unless people are enjoying the AEW title in a suitcase. Excalibur said a hush went over the crowd. No, it was fucking crickets that went over the crowd. I mean, does anybody actually remember who Cope faced in the cage when he broke his leg? Does anybody remember?
Was it Orange Cassidy?
No, I don't know. And that's the problem with Cope. Since his return, it's been nothing to do with his opponents. It's not like Swerve and Ricochet, where Ricochet come out the other side. Whoever deals with Cope just fucks off. Look at what happened with Christian as well, sitting in the background for 6 months until Cope got his title opportunity. Cope's been pinned 9 times since his return. I mean, I know that doesn't work for him, brother, but still, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. The fans have been in there for 5 hours at this point, you know? We're the best wrestle, and then these guys, right at the end, like some kind of horrible knockoff of what we're used to, you know? And don't get me started on Remsburg. He's a fucking job's worth. This whole match was just a mess. And I have no idea what they thought after what we've seen in the steel cage and what we've seen with Takeshita and everything else that went on, that this could main event. It's crazy. Doesn't make sense. It turns me off the product when I think Tony thinks these guys are what everything is fighting about. And I know they bring Swerve out, but again, who says there's going to be another Swerve to come with Moxley as world champion?
I'm going to be slightly disappointed if this is not where they're leading, because I'll just be like, I'm so over this already. The fact that Mox has still got it like held hostage at this point. If they don't like change it up again and put it on something like Swerve, then like I'm going to start to lose hope myself. And I've been quite a big, strong supporter for AEW, but
it's
main
even
event,
like the Weird Utah bit. No one cared.
Yeah,
everybody knew he was going to hit Cody. It was pointless. There was no point that happened.
Yeah.
Everybody was just, oh, okay, right. It was just run of the mill.
It would have been better. It would have been better if like things with Jay White and Wheeler Utah was left out of this, and it was just like the cash in by Christian, and then like actually giving it time to like spew. You know,
how can Christian lose with the Bulldog, the first move he took in a match? Like exactly. I know Money in the Bank cash-ins and stuff when they've been involved, but Christian was fresh as a daisy, and I wouldn't have minded. But Cope survived the fucking Bulldog choke earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how weak did you just like make Christian look then? Like,
apart from that,
I don't know. I just feel like we all enjoyed it up until that point. We could have just done that. Like, if you guys want to watch like a great pay-per-view, just don't watch the main event, and then you're fine. Or the pre-show.
Watch it. Please watch it, guys. It's hilarious.
Honestly. So anyway, scores for this, Gina. What would you score the main event?
1.
Ooh. Jaxie?
I'm gonna be nice, and I'm gonna give it a 2 1/4.
2 1/4. Monty?
Yeah, I'll give it 2 1/2.
2 1/2, and I gave it a 2, which I think might be my lowest rating I've ever given on the podcast in 10 years. And that's saying, because we went through 2.0 as well. Predictions, all Moxley, apart from me. But did someone say about Christian cash in? I mean, come on, guys. That deserves a bonus point, doesn't it?
No, because you put Christian to win.
I knew you'd say this. No. I knew, that's why I didn't count it.
If you
so I didn't. Can I know you'd be?
And he loses still, then I would have said that's a bonus point for sure.
Yeah,
but he said to win.
But did you all panic when you saw Christian though?
He failed.
Yeah, I did. I totally panicked. I definitely panicked for sure. I was like, me and James were neck and neck on the same. So I was like, I heard Christian's music and I was like, great, I'm losing this.
I did not panic. No.
You didn't panic?
Nope. I have no. I knew Bob was weird.
You got too comfortable.
Monty knew that Christian was going to cash in and still fucking fail.
Yeah, I knew Mox was winning. It ain't even really about Christian as much as I was like, watch Mox still find a way to do this. And I didn't know it was gonna be like that fast and that stupid. But yeah. But I knew the bald man was gonna win.
The final scores then, I finish on 9, Jaxie's on 10, but Monty and Gina on 11 and a perfect score. So well, I mean, Monty, you use this. Gina, well done. G-Site's back.
I love how you just skip over Monty like that.
Yeah,
G-Site's back with you.
Come on, Gina.
It might not just be a blip, you know. It might be back for reals. So touch wood, it sticks around.
All right. Well, it means with the bonus league, Gina, you're on 8 points now. Jackson on 10. I'm on 11.
What
Monty,
I got?
I don't know.
What I got?
I don't know how the fuck you did that. I was in the lead like 2 events ago, but you are ahead on 12. I guess the bonus league is your lead.
Yes.
I'm great as
And
well,
AEW.
bro.
AEW
Okay.
Jackson James on 0. Monty Gina on 1. And weirdly enough, it's like buses. You wait so long for 1 and 2 come along, because our next predictions will be AEW as well, which is Dynasty on the 6th of April. Why so soon? I don't know. I should say, yeah, congratulations, Monty. That's great. Right, let's move on. So we all know our match, which will be Toni Storm and Mariah May. So, Jaxie, start us off with your MVP and your score out of 10 for the event, please.
Oh, I don't really know who to give my MVP to.
I'll give you mine, James, and then Jax can have a think.
All right, yeah, cool.
I'm gonna give MVP to Kenny, because he won the belt from Takeshita. I think that's the easiest way for me to go with it, because of that's what I'm gonna go with.
Can I go to Monty?
I'm gonna go with it. Sorry, no, I'm gonna go with it. That's fine, because my match of the night is gonna be Tony and Mariah. So because they're my match of the night, I'll give my MVP to Kenny. Yeah.
Perfect. And what would you score it, Gina, out of 10?
This is really difficult for me, because it was a really great pay-per-view event, but that last match really killed it. So if you cut that last match out, it's a great pay-per-view, and I'd want to give it a high score. But because of that shit final event, I'm gonna have to dock a point for it. So it's out of 10. I'll give it an 8. I think that's nice. An 8 is nice.
Yeah. All right. Jaxie, MVP and score. You ready?
Yeah, match obviously is Tony and Mariah. So I'm gonna go with Swerve for MVP. And I'm gonna give it a 7 3/4.
That's cool. Monty?
Yeah, without that main event, you probably can't get it under 9. But I gotta give it like 8 1/4 overall. Yeah, that's probably fair. And despite that, my MVP is John Moxley.
It's MVP. My MVP, Mariah May and Fletcher. Even though in defeat, they look really, really good. And I'm going to give it an 8.5 as well. On to Dynamite. Kenny Omega has moved on from the family. We are getting Cope versus Mox again. Yay!
Yes!
This time, no DQ on Dynamite next week.
Baby.
Oh, my God.
I screamed. I actually screamed.
I'm not gonna lie, I screamed.
Well, we'll see what happens. Hurt Syndicate was told to take time off. But MVP wants MJF. And again, Jaxie, that's quite interesting, MVP with MJF. Or is it just because Tony looks down the list and they're next to each other alphabetically?
No, do you know what? I'm not going to lie. It's a team up that I never thought could work. But for some reason, the prospect of it, MJF teaming up with the Hurt Business overall as a faction, seems like quite an exciting prospect. So I'm intrigued to see where this storyline goes, because I don't know if that will actually be the end product, or if they're potentially starting a feud. But then again, I just don't know, because of MJF doesn't do well playing with the others. So in order for him to go in a faction against like a faction like the Hurt Business, he'd have to have a really tight-knit group. And that just doesn't seem, I don't see that being the case. I don't see FTR joining back up with him. They're not heels. So I just don't really know how that would go. So yeah, maybe a potential team up with them might be something different, something new for MJF. Like, he's not really been part of, like, I say, a faction that's picked up. You know, I wouldn't say that. Like, the first faction was successful. So who knows? Maybe he might find success there. And that would just give him something to do in the meantime. Because I don't see him entirely going straight into a main title picture again just yet. But this was an interesting, like, two people that are very good on mic in the ring. And to say I was intrigued was, an understatement. So I am intrigued to see where things will go from the conversation they had.
Now, Speedball Mike Bailey made his debut as the wild card of the Dynasty Eliminator Tournament, a chance to face
Does anyone
Omega.
know who that guy is and where he came from?
Speedball Mike Bailey. I was about to say, I wanted to know what people's thoughts were because I know him quite well. I just wanted to know if maybe someone's not seen him before. What were your first thoughts?
My first thoughts. And you thought I was aggressive.
I can let Gene have a go first. I mean, Jackson, you can back off.
I don't know. He just has a punchable face. He came out all smiley with his smiley garden, and I just wanted to punch him.
Did you think 3MB was coming out with the SMB? The SMB and the 3MB, I thought, fuck me, that's marketing.
Well, do you know what? I said to my sister, and I'm pretty sure that both of you two have seen this movie, but I was instantly reminded of that movie. What's it called? Three Ninjas at Noon or something like that. And it had Hulk Hogan in and the three little kids who were like ninjas. Please tell me you guys have seen that movie.
I think you've taken too many drugs.
No. Listen, right? I instantly got reminded of the little ninja kids that like are in that movie. That's what I thought of him. And then instantly I was thinking about that really shit Hulk Hogan movie. I think his look just gave me 90s vibe. I think his look just gave such a 90s vibe. I just didn't really know how to take his character.
Speedball has been for me, was the MVP of TNA or Impact Wrestling in 2023, X Division champion and stuff like that. Yes, he looks a bit like a dork, but let him do his talking in the ring. Again, the character, for me, I don't know how successful it can be in AEW because, like I said, with the character work and stuff, but I'm sure he's going to enjoy Ring of Honor and I'm sure the money's worth it, but he will deliver a banger. We will see with, I don't know if he will get to Omega, but it'll be an interesting matchup with Orange Cassidy as well in the Fatal 4-Way. He beat Enchicero in the other. Also, elsewhere, Nick Wayne doesn't seem happy with Christian. Monty, it's a swerve, people. They're not really going to do this. I mean, this is just a setup, or have we just been watching too much NXT recently? People don't change.
Change. I mean, I'm not really. I don't really care at this point. I mean, if he do change, good for him. If not, what is Mama gonna do? I mean, that's my question. What does she do if he decides?
He's gonna go back to work.
Bro, your mother is here. Like, he can't really change too much unless she decides to change with him, right? Or we're gonna have to watch a few with where the mama beat him down, I guess.
You saw her step back. You saw her step back the moment that he threatened to send her back to Waffle House. She weren't taking that shit. She won't go.
So we'll see how it goes. Honestly, I think with the way the discourse around Cope is at this point, their best bet is just him and Cope and Christian to just be, Cope and Christian, double C's. They should all just both turn into cunts and be heels. And I mean, Christian's already won, so go ahead and throw Cope in there, and they just tag up, and you can lean into the fact that Cope won't lose to anybody, and they continue to just beat up on all the young talent. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope they turn them babyface and go on a massive run, and as successful as the Hardys were in AEW. Penelope Ford lost to Willow. Exactly. Ford attacked Willow with a steel chair after the match when Chris Statlander tried to make the save. Megan Bain laid out
Willow. That was an attack?
And Statlander, look, it was a big night for Bain, who also laid out timeless Toni Storm. And Jaxie, we wonder what's next for Toni Storm, Megan Bain, but is she a legitimate threat?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what's hard? Right now, I've not seen much promo work from her. So I want to say yes, she's definitely going to be like a formidable foe for the likes of Toni Storm. Like she's coming across like really well in her matches. Like she's being booked as a beast, someone to really kind of like fear and wonder what she's going to get up to next. But I'm not sure yet whether or not she's ready to take like gold when I've not really heard much what she can do on mic. So I'm a bit apprehensive to get behind her, especially with the way that they've treated Camille. Camille was kind of very much given the same sort of like treatment, like sort of first of all coming in like the bodyguard to Mercedes, just very much like she's kind of like Megan's being seen as like sort of not the bodyguard for Penelope, but like the powerhouse for behind this newfound duo. But we've not seen much promo work, so it's hard to get behind whether or not someone can really carry the division and hold much weight behind her words when she's not spoken much. So I'm apprehensive about this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Will Ospreay will win the Owen Hart Foundation tournament because he was the first one entered, so I guess he's going to win. And Jay White said he's going to turn heel on Cope next week. So at least we know that's going to happen. We know the ending of the Moxley-Cope match. Well done, Jay White. So that is nearly it. Gina, I'll give you a chance to wrap up with AEW because we weren't that happy last time we checked in. How are we post-Revolution on the way to Dynasty?
I'm not really sure. I'm in two minds. I'm still trying to keep an open mind to see where they will go with some storylines, but I'm also kind of wanting to just throw my hands in the air with some of the decisions they've made from this pay-per-view. So I'll keep interested going forward, but I will admit that I'm struggling to watch Collision because I'm struggling to care. So I'm really hoping that gets changed, like my mind gets changed soon on that, and I really want to tune into it again. So we'll see.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I did ask this question, Jaxie. I'll ask you: are AEW in a better place now than they were when we just spoke about it? What is it? A couple of weeks previously. Do you feel a bit better now that we head to Dynasty?
Like I think that's still kind of yet to be seen. And I think that's like a really hard thing to kind of like say because I feel like there's ups and downs right now happening within AEW. There's some things they're getting right. There's some things that is just still they're still not getting right. And I think at the moment there needs to be some sort of shakeup in order for AEW to be successful throughout the next few pay-per-views. I think that the way that like a lot of the pay-per-views have been booked lately have either been sloppy or just been a bit messy. So I think that creative really need to kind of tighten up their ship a little bit. And it might be worth like kind of actually listening to feedback and changing things up. It's hard to say what really does need to change, but like right now we just kind of pointed out some home truths, which was there are strong points within AEW, which is what drew a lot of people's attention, has actually dwindled a lot, and they need to pick up that momentum again. And a lot of that isn't to do with the wrestlers themselves; it is booking and creative. So yeah, I do think that change still needs to happen. I don't think that they're better off, but I don't think they're worse off either. I think they're still stagnant.
Yeah. Well, that's it then for AEW. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod, James. And you can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast, and Reddit. Monty, do you want to plug your stuff?
Look, at my Monty Pod. There I go on Twitter. I've been tweeting a lot more. We're getting a lot of people pissed off at me, but also laughing at me. So come do one of the two. I really don't care which one you choose.
I've had that a lot as well. Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm across Instagram, X, and Twitch at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Gina?
You can find me on the same at Purple Pain.
You're dubbing awesome on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to dubbinapodcast@gmail.com and YouTube. Where the Dubbing Up Podcast is celebrating 10 years on YouTube now. We've just started a brand new short series, Stone Cold Stunners. If you like Stone Cold Stunners, you're going to love this. Stone Cold stuns the entire WWE 2K25 roster. And obviously, the podcast got YouTube at the same time. To do SoundCloud on your phone and also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, well, upcoming, because we're going to have next week off. And then we'll be back for NXT update, which will have just 4 episodes, but we'll have have we done Roadblock yet, Monty? I can't remember if we have or not. I've gone blank. We haven't, have we? We haven't done Roadblock.
No, we did the show leading up to
right, right. I'm on the ball here, you see. Maybe panic for a second. April 6th, we'll be going back to New Japan. But don't worry, everybody. It's only going to be a couple of events, New Beginning and Dontaku. April 12th will be Dynasty, or that weekend will be AEW show. And then April 19th and 20th, I'm aiming to do some live shows and maybe even a WrestleMania quiz, as we like that. And then, of course, let's not forget, May 10th will be huge day in everybody's diaries, as we will celebrate the 10-year anniversary official. Well, until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. I went on a little bit there, Jaxie. I do apologise. You forgive me.
It's fine. It's been a great show, and I look forward to the next few shows upcoming. See you guys soon, and I'll be back with James and the team for the New Japan catch-up.
And of course, the mind of Monty. Monty, congratulations, I suppose, but you're used to it now.
I'm brilliant, you know. I don't know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but toot toot.
Toot toot. And of course, the genius of Gina, the G site is back.
I am proudly putting my crown back on top, and so happy with it.
Said it before, and I'll say it again. If I can't win, I want Gina to, and I mean that with the bottom of my heart.
Wait.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.